determination, and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Don't miss the ESPN Dayton Glacier Softwater High School Football Game of the Week every Friday night, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and Justin Kinner will have the call all season long. Check out wingam.com for the complete schedule and to stream the games live. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, everybody, welcome in. Happy Monday. I hope you all had a great weekend. It's the Justin Kinner Show coming at you live on 1410 Wing AM. We are streaming live at wingam.com. And, of course, you can watch us live right here on Facebook and YouTube. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook, as well as ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, follow along, and be a part of everything we do weekdays from 3 to 6. The NFL season kind of here, right? Preseason week 1, or some teams have already played 2 preseason games, the Cowboys and the Steelers, of course. But I had a blast this weekend watching NFL preseason football. Make fun of me if you will, but we'll get to all of that. I want to go 3 and out with the Cincinnati Bengals. 3 positive takeaways from the Bengals preseason game 1 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So we'll go 3 and out, 3 positives, 3 takeaways of concern. We'll get to that. We'll do the same thing with the Cleveland Browns again, week 1, or I should say the preseason game 1. Still 3.5 weeks to go before kickoff. I tweeted and joked about that over the weekend. I'm like, I always get ramped up. I always get ramped up for the first preseason game of the season because it's your first taste of football, after months off. We talk so much about the draft. We talk so much about the schedule reveal. We talk so much about the boneheaded decisions your favorite team or least favorite team makes or does not make during the NFL draft, and what moves we feel like they should have done better during the NFL free agency period. We dissect the schedule and we try to circle and find where the wins and the losses are. We try to find a path to the playoffs for all of our favorite teams, and we try to find a way to discredit our least favorite teams. Right? I make a living off of that. But at the end of the day, the first preseason game is always my favorite because it's always that first taste of, finally football's back. And then, like a strip tease, you kind of get bored with the strip tease and you finally just want to see what you've been waiting for, right? Then you look at the calendar, you're like, oh, crap, we have 3.5 weeks remaining of this preseason strip tease type of deal, right? Like, we just want to see it all. We want to get to week 1. We want to get to the regular season, and I'm looking forward to that. So we welcome you in. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Kev Nash will return to the show this week, of course, just not today. And the show is brought to you by Orion Sports Medicine. The Browns and Bengals both victorious over the weekend in their opening weekend preseason games. We'll start with the Cincinnati Bengals. And again, the theme of the show today, or at least the opening round, the opening of the show was going to be 3 and out. 3 positives and 3 negatives. Bengals fans, for you watching on YouTube and Facebook, help me out. Do I start with the positives first or the negatives? And I'll be honest with you, not a lot of negatives. I actually felt something from the Bengals over the weekend. I felt energy. I felt excitement. I'm a huge fan of Osai. It's unfortunate about the injury, which we'll get to in a moment. But I'm actually not going to beat up on your Bengals too much today. I actually kind of liked what I saw. I don't think that, again, grain of salt there. I still think they're a lot of work to do, but I did for what we saw. I liked. So let's open up with the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going 3 and out, 3 positives, 3 areas of concern following the opening round the opening preseason game against the Buccaneers. First, right off the bat, a win is a win. A win is a win. It doesn't matter if it's preseason. It doesn't matter if it's spring training games in baseball, NBA preseason. Wins are always a good thing because my favorite thing about winning in the preseason is the fact that, well, it's preseason. It technically doesn't matter. But if you can win a football game report to your stadium on a Sunday or Monday for practice and watch film, and you feel good about a win and you're focusing on areas of concern and areas to work on, that's a big deal. But my areas of my positives from the Cincinnati Bengals over the weekend, again, as we open up here on the Justin Kinner Show, going 3 and out. 3 positives, 3 negatives. We'll start with the positives. I'm just going to say it. Jamar Chase only had 1 catch on his only target of the night for a 16-yard gain, but what I did like about that is he just looks the part. I know on Friday I was kind of nitpicking him a little bit, saying, hey, I think there's a lot of pressure on Jamar Chase. I think that he has a lot to live up to through no fault of his own. I think he's going to be one hell of a receiver in the National Football League, but I think so much pressure has been put on him because of the fact that you have your franchise quarterback in Joe Burrow. He goes down in season 1, his rookie season, with it could have been a career-ending injury, right? Like it was that, career-threatening, right? There was so much focus on improving that offensive line. I don't believe they did enough, and I thought it was a gamble to take a wide receiver at number 5 overall when you had a generational offensive line talent in Penei Sewell. Now, again, we can get into his struggles over the weekend if you want. We'll do that later. But the point is, whether you like it or not, Bengals fans, there's pressure on Jamar Chase to be Justin Jefferson. And I said on Friday, unfortunately, if his numbers are not that of a Justin Jefferson in year 1, that's a bad look, not so much for him, but the Cincinnati Bengals, because you can't afford to pass up on a generation offensive line talent to take a wide receiver, and then that wide receiver not live up to the billing of the rookie or the best rookie wide receiver from the previous year in Justin Jefferson, but we'll get into that in a moment. I actually liked what I saw from Jamar Chase. It was only 1 target. It was only 1 catch, but the dude is big. The dude is big. He's fast. He's explosive. And we saw what he could do when he gets the ball in the open field because he just had a little bit of room. And, his strides, he covers a lot of ground and he does it very quickly. All I know is I'm glad the Browns have Newsome. I'm glad that the Browns went out and loaded up that secondary. As much as I liked how Jamar Chase looked, and only 1 catch and only 1 target, he doesn't scare me as a Browns fan, but I will give it to him. The dude looks the part. And when you talk about the fact that there's been rumblings out there that they believe that T. Higgins can be a 1,000-yard wide receiver, that Jamar Chase could be a 1,000-yard wide receiver, and that Tyler Boyd could cap it off for the Bengals to have 3,000-yard receivers, you know what? It's possible. I don't know if it's possible this year, but I don't think that it would shock anybody that once this offensive line gets set and the offense gets comfortable moving forward, it shouldn't surprise anybody if that ends up being the case. I'm not going to put money on that happening this year, but I do believe that the talent is there. I like T. Higgins. I like Jamar Chase. I like Tyler Boyd. I like Joe Burrow. We've got to give him time to throw to make those things happen. On to number 2. Again, we're going 3 and out, 3 positives, 3 areas of concern following the first preseason game. I'm opening up with the positive. Bengals fans seem shocked that I was able to come up with these. It was painful. My hand hurts because I was having to write positive things about the Bengals today. Joseph Osai. What can I say about this dude? Look, I'm going to admit something. I said last year, I don't believe. Look, I thought that the Bengals, the few key weapons that they had, like in Lawson and others on the defense last year, you didn't add to those weapons. You lost them. You lost Lawson, but you added Hendrickson, right? And then you look at the fact that with the secondary, you added Hilton from the Steelers, and you had Woozy from the Cowboys. I'm like, you didn't get better. You lost a couple key pieces from the defense last year, the historically bad defense from last year. You lost what little talented players you had on the defense and just replaced them with other talented players. So I thought, well, this defense is right back where it started. Your strengths are in the same areas of position that you had last year, and you're still not strong in other areas. But Osai's a different story. That dude has a motor on him. That dude can move. And I think when you look at Hendrickson, when you look at Osai, and you look at the pass rushing ability they have there, that could be a nice little tandem moving forward. The Bengals locked in and invested in Hendrickson in the offseason. Osai, as much as I nitpicked that draft, he's going to end up being most likely a huge part of their success moving forward. I like Osai. I have no complaints. And I love that he set the tone early and was a part of that opening drive sack against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Unfortunately, his injury is going to be the area of concern moving forward, but we'll talk about that coming up in a minute. And the other area of positivity, I guess, if you will. Look, kickers never get the respect that they deserve, right? Like, you only talk about a kicker if they missed extra points or if they lose you a game-winning opportunity, right? If they miss a field goal late. But I think that the Bengals kicking situation is pretty solid. I mean, we saw that they lost a couple one-possession close games last year. Some of those came down to kickers, to the kicking situation. I like the McPherson kid that they got. At the end of the day, it's going to be a while before we're ever comfortable praising a team for taking a kicker in the draft. This is actually going to be one of those that we might down the road say, hey, I'm glad that the Bengals had the guts to take a kicker high in the draft the way that they did. But it's never going to change the perception that when you have so many other areas of need, you shouldn't address your kicking situation. But to be honest with you, if you have a bad kicker, that can cost you more games than having a couple weak links in that offensive line. I'm not giving the Bengals too much credit, though. I'm not going to go that far, but I did like McPherson. I like how he looked at a long of a 40-yard field goal. I think that's going to be, Seibert looked okay as well. There was a lot of positive takeaways. There was no Joe Burrow. Some starters didn't get key opportunities out there, but at the end of the day, I thought that the Bengals played with energy. The Bucs came out and they looked like a veteran-led team playing in a preseason game. They had no drive. They had no spark. They had no excitement. They didn't look like ready to be out there. And I'm adamant. Don't play your starters in the preseason. Tom Brady got hit hard in that opening drive, and he deserved it. So did the Buccaneers. Why are you playing Tom Brady? After all these years, what the hell does Tom Brady need to play a preseason game for? I'm glad that Osai hit the hell out of him. I'm glad that defensive line attacked him, and I'm glad that they got Tom Brady out of there. He's the face of the NFL along with Patrick Mahomes. Why are you risking it, putting him out there? That's ridiculous to me. But I'll move on. So that was my 3 positive takeaways from the Bengals preseason opening win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, as far as the areas of concern go, the areas of concern are the same areas of concern I had from the beginning. The offensive line, couldn't really get a good vibe for them yet just because of the fact that you don't have all your starting units out there. You don't even know what the starting unit's going to look like. Jackson Carman will still be a glaring hole moving forward because, unfortunately, Jackson Carman will be who he is. He is a guy that should have gone later in the draft, and had the Bengals selected him in the 5th or 6th round, and then he's struggling the way he is, we wouldn't bat an eye. We would say, well, that was a good opportunity for Jackson Carman to be drafted by a team here just an hour south of where he's from, or maybe a little less. But taking him so high in the draft against everyone else's grades, that's why it's always going to be a glaring hole. And it's not Jackson Carman's fault. It's the bad drafting of the Bengals. They shouldn't have selected him where they did, but he can't change that. All he could do is be who he is. And at the end of the day, he kind of is. I think offensive line depth is going to be an issue. Brandon Allen playing as much as he did kind of surprised me. I make my jokes about how Brandon Allen really needs to be in sync with the starters because I don't anticipate Burrow making it through a full regular season healthy with this O-line. But the backup quarterback is very important. And I don't know why you needed – Brandon Allen got a lot of time last year. I don't know why you needed to see him for 3 quarters almost of play last night. I thought that was a little strange. He got hit pretty good, especially as the game went on and you started going deeper and deeper into your offensive line, available options. That line got weaker and weaker, and he was starting to get hit. I don't think he got officially sacked, but he did on a couple. He stepped in, completed some throws, whether it was a completion or not. When he stepped in, he got hit pretty good on a few occasions. I don't understand that mentality. There's other quarterbacks on that depth chart that aren't going to make the roster. After the first half, get them in there. Get Brandon Allen out of there. I'm not saying Brandon Allen is right up there with importance of Joe Burrow, but there was no need for him to be out there as long as he was. And you have to tell yourself right now, Bengals fans, if Brandon Allen gets hurt in the preseason because they're playing in 3 of the 4 quarters, that should concern you heading into the season because we don't know how Joe Burrow's knee is going to hold up, and we don't know how he's going to hold up mentally, and we don't know how this offensive line is going to hold up. Depth at the quarterback position is going to be key. You're not going to the playoffs with Brandon Allen anyways, but you also don't want to be having the number 1 overall pick if Joe Burrow goes out early with an injury, and you have to have Brandon Allen leading you for not 16 games, but 17 regular season games. Other areas of concern, ball security. I'm not going to put too much stock into that. I'm not going to go into it too much, but it's not that you had 4 fumbles and you did recover a couple of those, but it's the fact that it was 4 fumbles divided amongst 4 different players. It's not like you had it's not like you had a consistent, ball or a running back that you were handing the ball off to and he was having a couple issues here and there. 4 different players fumbled the ball. That's an issue. Those little fundamental things. At the end of the day, I know that it's NFL preseason game number 1, but these are professional football players. At the end of the day, from the time you're in middle school until the time you're playing in a preseason game, I don't think Zach Taylor needs to pound home the importance of, hold on to the football. So, yes, I'm going to be a little nitpicky about those types of things because holding on to the football, I'm not even going to blame Zach Taylor on that. If you, as a professional football player, need your head coach to say, hey, you guys, can you do me a favor? Can you please hold on to that football for... Stop. You're an idiot at that point. I don't know why you need a head coach. I heard that, some people criticizing Zach Taylor, which I love to do from time to time. I didn't blame him for that. I don't think that's on Zach Taylor. That's stupidity on the player's part. It's not. If you have to be reminded to, I don't know, hold on to the football in the NFL, you shouldn't be in the NFL then. I don't think it's a big concern. I just think it's compiled because of the issues with the Bengals, ball security issues in the last couple of seasons, and you're starting to see that carry over already. I'm putting 0% stock into that aspect of it. I just don't want to see it moving forward. If we start to see it moving forward, then it's an area of concern that you really need to highlight. But for right now, I'm kind of defending Zach Taylor on that. I saw a lot of people criticizing Zach Taylor, saying, man, this team needs to button up ball security. That's on Zach Taylor. No. If Zach Taylor needs to tell these guys, hey, maybe hold on to the ball tighter, I don't know why Zach Taylor needs to tell a professional football player to not fumble the football. I'm sorry. That's just kind of where I'm at. Like, it's kind of like, oh, man, an NBA player double dribbles. Oh, that's on coaching. No, that dude's in the NBA. That's on him. If he doesn't know how to, I don't know, not double dribble, that's kind of a him problem, not so much a team aspect. And there you go. It was painful, but I got through it. I went 3 and out with the Cincinnati Bengals, 3 positives, 3 areas of concern. What do you think? Do you agree? Thumbs up, thumbs down? It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. The Cincinnati Bengals victorious over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, NFL preseason game number 1. No Joe Burrow, not a lot of Jamar Chase, 1 target, 1 catch, 16 yards. And I liked what I saw. I think he looks the part. He's very imposing, physically imposing out there on the field, and I think he's going to be one of the main targets, obviously. He should be, he better be, and he better produce, but I'm not going to go into all that. I thought he looked good. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. I'm going to open up the phone lines. Again, keep in mind, I'm by myself today, so I have to manage everything alone. So I'm not even good with the team around me, much less by myself. So give us a call. We're only going to open up the phone lines during the commercial break. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. You can also give us your thoughts and opinions in the comment section on Facebook. Search The Justin Kinner Show. Also, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. You could be involved in the conversation there. We went 3 and out with the Bengals. 3 positives, 3 takeaways of areas of concern following preseason game number 1. Where are you guys at with everything we just discussed? What has you concerned, Bengals fans? What do you feel good about? Let's go 3 and out with your takes on the other side. 518-1410. That's the number to call. We'll be back. More of the Justin Kinner Show when we come back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Goodyear believes in the power of moving forward. No matter if it's on the track, the court, or the field, movement makes us want to be more. It pushes us to go further, to show the world what we can do. Movement has the unique ability to change our perspective, to challenge us, to work for a better tomorrow. Movement can even bring us together when we're still. Because if we're focused on the next move, we don't have to worry about what's behind us. Goodyear, more driven.
Ohio has a lot of smart, hardworking roofing contractors. And to unlock your full potential, use the Beacon Pro Plus app. Beacon Pro Plus helps with material ordering, order history, and automated rebate tracking. Use it 24/7 wherever you are, saving valuable time and building your business. And by using it, you could win keys to unlock an all-new Ford F-150. You work hard. Now work smarter. Learn more at becn.com/Ohio. That's becn.com/Ohio.
Guys, stop putting your love life on hold. U.S. Pharmacy has some exciting news. If you've been wanting to try Viagra or Cialis, now's the perfect time. Call today and receive 90 little blue or little yellow pills for only $119 with free shipping. Why order some low-dose sildenafil from one of those subscription services when we can give you what you want now? Call 800-990-6271 and we'll rush your order discreetly packaged to your door. That's 800-990-6271.
Nobody protects you from mayhem in Ohio like Allstate. I'm a broken traffic light. Stop and go is the name of my game. It's easy. You go, they go. Or was it they go, you go? And if you have the wrong car insurance, these repair costs could stop you in your tracks. So get Allstate's new low auto rate and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Not available in every state based on coverage and limits selected. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Whether it's next day delivery or getting involved in their local communities, Napa goes above and beyond to serve you because their motor never quits. That's Napa know-how.
Benito's line cook just threw in his kitchen towel.
This order needs to go out right now.
He needs to find help before his customers are left waiting.
I'm so sorry. We'll be right with you. Who's got table 6?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Napa know-how.
At Napa, get a $10 gift card when you buy a 5-quart jug of Mobil 1 motor oil for $27.99. A deal so rich, they'll call you an oil tycoon. Yep, with great oil for $27.99 and $10 back. All you'll need is a monocle. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating locations, does not include state local taxes or recycling fees. Advertised sales price may not be available in some states. Rebate restrictions apply. Offer ends 8/31/21.
Hi, this is Eddie Sorrell, Body Shop Manager at Germain Honda of Beaver Creek. When you need a dependable body shop, we're here to help, repairing all makes and models. Our technicians have over 125 years experience. That means we can repair your vehicle quickly and efficiently. Our department is state-of-the-art with new equipment to get you back on the road quickly. We offer loaner cars during service and free estimates. Germain Honda of Beaver Creek, Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek.
The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays at 3 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM.
It's officially week 1 of the high school football season, and that means another season of the ESPN Dayton Glacier Softwater High School Football Game of the Week right here on 1410 Wing AM. College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and myself will be on the call each and every Friday night throughout the 10-week regular season. And our week 1 matchup of the Glacier Softwater High School Football Game of the Week features the Centerville Elks as they welcome in the Fairfield Indians this Friday night. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock with kickoff. Keith Byers and myself again every Friday night will be bringing you our high school football game of the week presented by Glacier Soft Water. So I'm pretty excited about that. For one, it feels kind of strange that this is the first week of the high school football season. I love it. Like I said, NFL preseason going on. I put this on social media over the weekend that, it's a great time to be a sports fan here locally right now. I mean, you have the Browns and Bengals officially kicking off their preseason. A lot of questions to be answered, not so much about the starters, so much for the Browns, but about the back end of the 53-man roster. The Bengals have a lot of questions to be answered, but if, Bengals fans feel like they're going in the right direction. I don't. Not trying to get in that little argument today, just saying it's the fun part, though. You're tuning in to have your opinions validated. Like, if I think that the Bengals are bad, I'm tuning in hoping that I'm right? Like, I know that sounds bad, a radio host right here, hoping that the team in our South is bad. I'm just hoping to be right. Every one of us wants to be right. So at the end of the day, I'm tuning in, whether it's hate watching or not. Some of you tune into my show every day, and you hate my guts. And I say all the time, and I tell my bosses this, I don't need people to like me. I just need people to listen to me. And that's pretty much any form of entertainment out there. Would you like to be liked? Yes. But at the end of the day, you just need people to tune in. You need people to go to the games. I mean, that's what sports team owners, they count on that all the time. And they rely on the people who are upset with them to still go to their ball games, still go to Paul Brown Stadium, still go to Great American Ballpark, still go watch the Browns, Buckeyes, whoever, whether you're good or bad, you're still hoping that the loyalty to that franchise still kicks in. So that's why I love the preseason. So many big questions to be answered out there. None of those questions were 100% answered this over the weekend, but it's still fun. I don't understand the people out there who are saying that, oh, preseason, I hate it. You're allowed to hate it. That's fine. But you don't find it any interest at all. Now, my thing is this. If you're tuning in to a preseason game and expecting a competitive duel, that's on you. It's all about perspective. I'm not tuning in to watch to see, like, I give the broadcasters credit over the weekend. I mean, they were talking about the Buccaneers coming back to potentially beat the Bengals, and, same thing with the Jaguars. The Jaguars, holy smokes. Urban Meyer, you should have taken that Texas job, by the way. But what a mess, right? But, like, I give those broadcasters credit trying to build the excitement and the urgency behind a potential comeback. I'm like, I don't care about the result of the game. Even though the Browns won over the weekend, I don't feel like the Browns won. I was just like, well, I just want to see how Donovan Peoples-Jones looked. I want to see how some of their draft picks looked. I want to see how the depth is coming along, how Newsome looked, how some of those guys look. So at the end of the day, that's what the preseason is. And the people that don't like preseason, that means you don't follow your team well enough to understand what you're even looking at and what you're watching. So, but 518-1410, let's try this. Again, I'm not able to, let's just see who this is. Caller, what's up? What's your name?
Hey.
Is this Dickie?
Yeah.
How are you? You're live on the air, buddy. What's up, man? Did you watch the Browns?
How you doing?
I'm great. Did you watch the Browns?
Oh, man. I'm telling you what, Justin, they look like a pro team, didn't they?
I would hope they are.
Man.
What'd you like most?
Justin, I used to Bernie and, Jimmy Donovan, but these other guys, I didn't even, I know Joe Thomas played, but I don't know nothing about this Mike McCarthy.
But what'd you think about the game, Dickie?
I loved it.
You loved it?
I loved it.
Browns going to the Super Bowl?
They're going to go to the playoffs. I don't know the Super Bowl. They're going to come close, and the Reds are doing good too, aren't they?
I do like what the Reds are doing. They're 2.5 games out of the playoff spot and everything. But, Dickie, we'll have to catch up later. But, no, Cleveland Browns will get to their 3 and out coming up here in just a moment. If you're just tuning in, it's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Kev Nash jumped into the chat below. He goes, when is Kev coming back? Kev, when are you coming back, by the way? I see you're able to watch the show, so you're clearly not too busy on vacation to coming into work. Now, come on. What do we pay you for? Just joking. Kevin Nash will be back this week. All right. So we'll get to that. By the way, Friday Night Lights, more like Friday Night Yikes. Already a local high school football game canceled due to COVID-19. This coming up Friday night. We'll talk about that coming up around the corner. We'll talk some Cincinnati Reds as well, because the Reds made an interesting roster move today that I'm really kind of scratching my head at. But I'm also kind of scratching my head at why everyone is so angry about this particular roster move and why this one in particular individual was not called up, because what certain Reds fans want this individual to be called up for addresses an issue that's not an issue. And we'll talk about all of that. There's a ton to dive into. But I want to talk real quick before we get to the 3 and out with the Browns fans. I want to go back to the Facebook feed. Again, we did 3 and out with the Cincinnati Bengals, 3 positives, 3 areas of concern following the first preseason game. To the Facebook feed we go. Justin Nickel on Facebook says it was a good Saturday for football. He even gave us a who day. That's painful for me, but I'm just reading it as they come in. He says a who day right there. Chris Schulp on Facebook. See, Chris, when you're cordial, your name is Schulp. He goes, I was surprised that Brady started too, Justin. Yeah, this goes back to, and I was listening to Colin a little bit ago. I forgot who he had on as a guest, but they were talking about, like, you could see the differences in the approach to football right now. If you look at all the young head coaches, a lot of them are sitting there, guys. Zach Taylor's sitting Joe Burrow. That makes sense, by the way. Kevin Stefanski's sitting Baker Mayfield. Makes a ton of sense. What are you going to learn of Baker Mayfield in one drive? The starters played one drive. Tom Brady played one drive. Tom Brady had more to lose than to gain in that one freaking drive that he had against the Cincinnati Bengals. Maybe the Buccaneers had the intention of playing Brady more. Got to give the Bengals defensive line credit. I know it sounds weird coming out of my mouth. I believe that Bruce Arians wanted to play Tom Brady more in that game. I believe that he wanted to get more out of those starters. But I believe that the aggressiveness of the Bengals compared to the aggressiveness of the Buccaneers forced Tom Brady out of that game. I think that Bruce Arians was like, forget this. We're not going to get Tom Brady hurt. So kudos to the Bengals defense. I'll give them one more kudos to that, because the aggressiveness of the pass rush up front between Osai and Hendrickson and the rest, and they didn't play a lot. Osai did, which we'll get to. I believe that there was no reason to play Tom Brady. None. Tom Brady played one drive, 3 and out. Do you think that's why they had him suit up? I truly believe Bruce Arians had intentions to play Tom Brady more and the Bucs offense more. But I think that the way they got punched in the freaking face by Osai and everybody else, I think that they panicked and got him out of there, which is my whole point about I think it's stupid to play starters in the preseason. The preseason is to fill out the 53-man full roster, right? You will never convince me that Tom Brady playing in that opening drive, are they better off for it? No. The Buccaneers are not better today because Tom Brady got his ass handed to him by the Bengals defensive line. Is he better today? No, he's not better because of that. Either is their starting offensive line, either are their receivers. I don't want to hear any of that. It was dumb to play Tom Brady. It was dumb to play any of the starters. But it was interesting, the approach to the preseason, when you look at the fact that, again, the older coaches play a lot of their guys. They like to get their starters some reps out there. And the younger coaches like Sean McVay, Zach Taylor, Kevin Stefanski, and others are like, no, we're not going to play our starters. I get playing your starters who are some of your younger rookies. You need to get them some opportunities out there under the lights in front of fans. But, yeah, I just thought that was strange. Why play Tom Brady? But like I said, as painful as it is for me, kudos to the Bengals defense because they hit the hell out of him. They weren't taking it easy on Tom Brady because it's preseason, which is why at the same time, that's why I don't want the Bengals to play Joe Burrow. I know Zach Taylor and others are saying, well, they haven't come to a decision. I don't believe so. Last I heard, Zach Taylor had not decided on whether Joe Burrow would play in this upcoming preseason game. And like I said, don't. There's no need. If Joe Burrow plays one drive this weekend, what's the purpose? Is Joe Burrow going to improve off of one drive in the preseason? No, but you risk him getting hit. You risk him mentally taking a step back. You risk so much and you gain nothing. I don't care if Joe Burrow goes on a 95-yard drive and leads, and ends in a touchdown. Nope. Sorry. You're not going to convince me that that's a good thing when you're risking him getting an injury because those stats don't matter. Back to the Facebook feed we go. Justin says, exactly. I totally agree with you, Justin. I've said a lot. Don't know what you agree with me on, but I appreciate hearing that every once in a while. Jake Whiting says, Brandon Allen is fine, but the QB3 is a concern for sure. Shermer is awful. My only response to that is, who out there truly... I mean, that's a weird thing to be concerned about, Jake. Man, our third string quarterback, I'm really concerned about that. Like, what do you mean? I don't think anyone out there feels good about their third string quarterback. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers might feel pretty good about their third string quarterback if it ends up being Dwayne Haskins. And I think Dwayne Haskins should be the second string quarterback for the Steelers, especially after what we've seen after 2 games. I think he looks more explosive. I think he looks the part. I think he's bigger, stronger, more accurate, has a better arm. I'm trying to figure out why the second string quarterback for the Steelers would not be Dwayne Haskins, but we'll get to that later as well. Back to Brian Hetzel on Facebook says, I wouldn't worry about the Bengals fumbling. It was raining and Tampa has issues fumbling as well. Look, Brian, I'm trying to be patient with you guys today. I've complimented the Bengals a lot today. So if we're going to nitpick some of the criticisms, all I'm saying is you have to be concerned anytime a team is showing signs of, turning it over a lot. These are professional football players. I don't want to hear that it's early in preseason and that's why they're fumbling. They're professional football players. From the time that they're in peewee football, flag football, the importance of holding onto the ball is pounded into their heads. I didn't say that the sky was falling. I defended Zach Taylor. I said, that's not a Zach Taylor issue. That's a player issue. They need to get that. That's the thing that they have to fix on their own. There's only so many times that a coach can tell you the fundamentals of holding onto a football. And if you can't do it, you're not going to play much. So, that's kind of where I'm at with that. Hold on to the football. And if that's one of my top 3 criticisms of the Bengals from preseason game number 1, I'd say that's a decent thing. Now, if that's my criticism of them 3 weeks into the regular season, that's areas of concern. So I guess we're kind of saying the same thing, Brian, but either way, I wouldn't worry too much about it, but to sit there and say it's absolutely nothing. And also, the Buccaneers are fumbling, so it's okay if we're fumbling. No, that just means 2 teams have the same problem and both teams need to fix it. Jake Whiting says Super Bowl bound, baby. We beat the champs. Now you're just being silly. All right. Willie Hayden says, what's up, Justin? You're absolutely right. This time football is back. Let's just enjoy it. I can't wait for the Sunday morning tailgate show. Yes, which the Sunday morning tailgate show will return to Frickers on 741. I'll have more information on that around the corner. David M. on YouTube says, not a Bengals fan, but as someone who's been recovering from an ACL tear the past, I'm assuming he meant to finish that take. Logan on Facebook says, I think getting Burrow out for a series in Cincinnati versus Miami, I think him getting live action is more important look, Logan, you're making too many grammatical errors. I can't follow this, or I just can't read. I don't think it will benefit him skillfully. So, Logan, I think to sum up your point, let me kind of get us back in line here. Tom Brady playing in this preseason game against the Bengals this past Saturday was stupid. It was foolish. The Buccaneers are defending Super Bowl champs. Tom Brady's in his 40s, and you're rolling him out there in an opening drive against the Cincinnati Bengals. And I do believe that I just don't understand what Tom Brady gains from that. What did he gain from stepping foot out on the field for one drive? Tom Brady's played, almost 20 seasons? Like, I think the dude knows what to expect. Why does he need to be out there? They returned all 22 starters from the Super Bowl team a season ago. It's not about trying to get chemistry. If you don't have chemistry by now, I don't know what to tell you. That's on Bruce Arians then. So my point is that there is any positives out there that would equate enough convincing to me to say, oh yeah, it makes sense to play him. None. Now, here's the deal. Now, if people played preseason games and they actually did force these guys to play a full quarter, I believe a full quarter can benefit a team from being able to kind of pinpoint some strengths and weaknesses. But if you have a bad opening drive and you don't get a second drive to be able to try to fix what you did in the first drive, then what's the point of the first drive? The only way you feel good about one drive in a game is if it's a good opening drive, right? After that, if you have a bad drive, it's like, well, what did you learn from that? Now, you can't go back and refix it in the next drive, and all you did was risk injuring your player. So Logan on YouTube believes that he believes that Joe Burrow should play against Miami this coming up weekend, even if it's just one drive. I just, why risk it, man? Why risk it? All right, it's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. I've been nice long enough about the Cincinnati Bengals, but overall, considering it's preseason, the wins don't mean anything, losses don't mean anything. It still feels good to win. Didn't play Joe Burrow. Didn't have a lot. I mean, we don't even know what the starters are going to look like for the offensive line, but you saw, a lot of guys out there. I thought that Jackson Carman, although you can pinpoint a couple key plays that he looked okay in, still looks lost. Reports coming out of Bengals camp today that he's back with the third stringers today, although he was on the second string again in that preseason game. That's going to fluctuate a lot. People could, today say, it doesn't matter. It's just only one preseason game in. It matters because it matters now. We're talking about how the Bengals look now. And as of right now, that's a problem. So we'll keep an eye on that. But 518-1410, plus we're live on Facebook and YouTube. How about the Cleveland Browns? Did the Cleveland Browns impress you at all? Again, no Baker Mayfield, no OBJ. Didn't see any of the main starters at all, but I liked what we saw from Donovan Peoples-Jones. I love what we saw in some of the defensive rookies that were a part of that. The one thing I will say about the Browns and the Bengals, both teams were highlighted by rookie defenders this weekend. Both teams should feel good about some of the rookie defenders that showed out over the weekend. That's the biggest takeaway I have. If I could just sum up what both teams should feel good about, both teams, they know what weapons they have to take into the regular season, but what both teams learned was they have some absolute monsters on the defensive side that they just drafted. We'll talk about that on the other side. Plus, Friday Night Lights, more like Friday Night Yikes. COVID strikes once again. A high school football game is canceled already for this Friday night. It's week 1 of the high school football season. How's this impact the schools involved, the players, the parents, the students, the fans in general? We'll get to all of that. We got a jam-packed show coming your way. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hi, folks, it's me again, and I'm cooking in the sun just like you are. But you know, you can still plant those trees and shrubs right now, and with proper watering, still gain a full summer's growth. We keep our garden center fully stocked all summer long with thousands of good, healthy trees, shrubs, evergreens, perennials, and annuals, because we know that some folks just can't get it all done in the spring. Also, this time of the year, there are lots of bargains all over our 6-acre nursery and greenhouses. We have potted rose bushes as low as $8.95, flats of annuals starting at $8.95, and hanging baskets starting at $6.95. We still have a great selection of Rose of Sharon, boxwoods, hydrangeas, and barberry, and lots of ponds, pottery, and statuary. So come on out to 1309 Brand Pike, and remember, we're open 7 days.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Staples Connect has everything for back to school at amazing prices. Right now, Crayola 12-count colored pencils and 10+2 Crayola marker bonus packs and Staples 2-pack scissors are just 97 cents each. So your student won't just be ready for school. They'll be tons of drawings to hang on the fridge ready.
We're going to need a bigger refrigerator.
Visit your local Staples store or staples.com/back to school today and get more than ready for school. Ends 9/18. Limit 30 on Crayola. Limit 6 on scissors.
G'day, mate. As an Australian, I'm a croc expert. Crikey, get him away from me. I mean Crocs, like the footwear. And as a croc expert, I have to say I like foamies from Skechers bloody better. Because foamies have that stylish, trendy look, plus Skechers' world-famous comfort. All for a price that's down under the competition. Skechers is the comfort technology company. And foamies have comfort innovations your whole family will love. Foamies are ultra-lightweight, water-friendly footwear that are flexible and breathable. Perfect for kicking it by the pool, grilling on the barbie. Or comfy enough to go on a walkabout. Plus, only foamies come with fits and features like Arch Fit with podiatrist-certified support. And max cushioning that feels like you're walking on big puffy marshmallows. And foamies are perfect to keep you cool this summer or warm in the winter, which is great because it's actually winter in Australia right now. Good on you, Skechers. So get yourself some machine washable foamies by Skechers and don't get bit by Crocs. He's a mean fella. Find foamies at Skechers.com, a Skechers store, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
You may have heard that Allstate has new low auto rates, but isn't it time to see for yourself? Visit Allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today.
You want more local content from Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM? Make sure you subscribe to the WING 1410 Dayton YouTube channel, where you can watch all your local shows live or go back and rewatch previous episodes of The Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, The Keith Byers Show, Talking Out Loud with Sully, and more. Week 1 of the high school football season is officially here. The Centerville Elks welcome in the Fairfield Indians Friday night at 7 p.m. for the ESPN Dayton Glacier Softwater Game of the Week. Listen live at 1410 Wing AM or stream at wingam.com.
All right, we are back. I'm Justin Kinner hanging out with you here on a Monday. I hope everyone had a great weekend. Talked a lot about the Cincinnati Bengals preseason opener. They win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, you beat the defending Super Bowl champions. Congratulations. But at the end of the day, even someone like me who loves to criticize the Cincinnati Bengals, it makes me sleep at night. To be honest, I'm getting a little backed up right now. I've said a lot of positive things. My favorite part about that preseason game was the fact that, like, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they were cocky and arrogant. They threw their starters out on the field like it's just the Cincinnati Bengals. So let's get Tom Brady. Like, they felt as if they could just throw their starters out there, march up and down the field, score a touchdown, take Tom Brady out, let the camera pan over to Tom Brady and drool over him and his career and yada, yada. And it's like they went out there cocky and arrogant. Like, they didn't even look like they wanted to play. So I'll give the Bengals that. The one thing I do appreciate about what I saw over the weekend was that regardless of who was on the field, the Bengals were trying to just crack pads, man. They just wanted to knock somebody out, and that's what I appreciate, especially the fact that Tom Brady dropped back and got hit hard, and I believe that there was intentions to play the starters more for the Buccaneers, but because of how hard they got hit in that opening drive, Bruce Arians said, "No, we're good. We're good." So kudos to the Bengals. Again, what that means, big picture, not a whole lot, but at least makes you feel good about, hey, this team's playing with fire. I don't know what the future of Zach Taylor is. Nothing is resulting from a preseason game by any means, but I mean, he has the guys playing hard. That's all you can ask for. All right, so we did our 3 and out when it came to the Cincinnati Bengals and, of course, their preseason opener against the Buccaneers. But let's go 3 and out with the Cleveland Browns as well. Now, the Cleveland Browns 23-13 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. A lot of positives to take away from the Cleveland Browns. Again, look, bottom line is it was a lot harder to tell what you had with Cleveland's, backups and all these back end of the roster guys, mainly because the Jacksonville Jaguars are a freaking disgrace. I also will apologize to Bengals fans for saying that they're the worst franchise in football because I think it's the Jaguars. I have no clue what the hell that was over the weekend. That was an absolute mess. Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback in that draft class, and if you just ranked it off of, if you just told a complete stranger to watch the Bears, to watch the Jets, to watch the 49ers, and to watch the Jags, and I'm sure I missed another rookie quarterback in there somewhere, I feel like, but the bottom line is that was a train wreck. Trevor Lawrence looked like a quarterback that had no business being in the National Football League. Urban Meyer might be in way over his head. And yes, it's a preseason game. Might be putting too much into a preseason game to say that Urban Meyer's in over his head. But my goodness, I don't understand what I watch. But let's stick to the Cleveland Browns. Positive takeaways. Got to see Case Keenum and a lot of Case Keenum. Case Keenum, I think the Browns have one of the best backup situations in football. At the end of the day, we didn't see any of Case Keenum last year. The one thing we do, there's so many things to criticize Baker Mayfield for. The one thing he doesn't get enough credit for is how durable he is. He doesn't miss football games. He doesn't get injured. And he's tough. And your best ability is your availability. We could be getting to the point 2 years from now where, yes, it's safe to say Joe Burrow is the more skilled quarterback between the two, but Baker Mayfield will always be viewed as the better quarterback because the dude just knows how to stay out on the field. Now, I'm probably going to be the most hated Browns fan in the world because I probably just gave him the kinder kiss of death. But it was good to see Case Keenum Saturday, I should say, because all it did was confirm what we already know is that the Browns have one of the best backup situations in football. If something ever happened to Baker Mayfield, Case Keenum could come in, I still think, and run this offense and still be able to get the most out of it when you consider the weapons that they still have at wide receiver. But, just keep handing it off. And I like what the Browns have at running back. But getting to see Case Keenum and getting to see him comfortable out there, I think was a huge deal for the Cleveland Browns. I saw Jake Whiting earlier talk about the Bengals. I'm not worried about Brandon Allen. I'm worried about our third-string quarterback. If you have to get to your third-string quarterback, the outcome's bleak anyway. So who cares what your third-string quarterback looks like? Now, when you talk about who do you want the best of all the third-string quarterbacks in the league? I guess that's a weird thing to strive for, but there you go. I mean, Kyle Luletta, or whatever the hell his name is, completed 19 to 27 passes and 2 touchdowns. Browns win 29 to 13. Look, there's not going to be a whole lot of available carries throughout the season for the Cleveland Browns, so you didn't get a chance to see Kareem Hunt or Nick Chubb. Why do you? You don't need to. You already know what you get with those two. So it's a chance to kind of see what they're working with here. Corey Taylor, 6 carries, 17 yards. I wasn't blown away by any of the talent running back wise when it comes to that. I will say this: Donovan Peoples-Jones, the second positive takeaway right there. 3 receptions. Guy didn't have a touchdown, but he just looks the part. Donovan Peoples-Jones, when it's all said and done, is going to be the factor that leads to the short leash for OBJ. I'm not saying Donovan Peoples-Jones is going to have a better career than OBJ and what he's had to this point, but at the end of the day, if the Browns have another elite weapon that they can count on, if Donovan Peoples-Jones does evolve into that and takes that next big step forward, and right there again with Jarvis Landry and the rest of the weapons that Baker Mayfield has, or if OBJ does take off, just to have the depth at wide receiver that the Browns do, you have to feel good about that. Love what the Browns saw on the defensive side of the football as well. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, again, 8 total tackles. 7 of those tackles came solo. Did have a sack, a couple tackles for a loss. I mean, and got to the quarterback. This is a rookie. This is a dude that the Browns are very fortunate to have been in position to be able to draft in the first place. The fact that you have Newsome and you have Owusu-Koramoah, that's going to be your defense, your young defensive core moving forward that you could build around. I mean, and just plug the gaps. Good for the Cleveland Browns because they were weak at linebacker last year. I did not like what they had at linebacker. I thought their secondary was atrocious, mainly because of the fact they weren't healthy. But I love what the Browns have in Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and I think that they're going to be able to build on that moving forward. But that's my big takeaway, positive takeaway as far as that goes. I know this sounds very homeristic. There wasn't any glaring issues with the Browns. I mean, look, you had Cody Parkey and Chase McLaughlin. Again, the kickers, they didn't miss a field goal. There's really not a whole lot to complain about right now because you don't know. We didn't get to see some of the new additions defensive. We got to see Newsome. He looked okay. Didn't pop out, on the box score whatsoever or on the field. But I think we're just not going to know until a couple more preseason games. What are some of the issues for the back half of this roster? I think it just all comes down to, and we're not going to get these answers in preseason, how does that secondary gel? Because if we do see any of the starters in the secondary for the Browns, they're not going to get enough time on the field in the preseason for you to truly understand how they're working together. So I know it sounds homeristic. There's nothing I'm concerned about. I didn't lose sleep over anything from the Browns. I'm not saying that they are perfect and that there's nothing to work on, but I don't think that there's any glaring holes that the Browns circled that said, oh, man, we got to worry about that. I think you do got to credit the Jacksonville Jaguars for being such a train wreck that they made the Browns look even better on the back end of the roster, as good as the starters. So that's where I'm at with that. Cleveland Browns fans, do you agree? Going 3-and-out right there. I'm just curious your thoughts. Any concerns at all about the Cleveland Browns when it comes down to it from what you saw? We didn't see any of the starters. There was nothing. Donovan Peoples-Jones was great. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, outstanding. Newsome, outstanding. I'm a big fan of the Cleveland Browns, as you all know. Homeristic approach here. There's just nothing that I'm looking at saying, oh man, they have to work on that based on what we saw from the preseason game, of course. To the Facebook feed we go. Just Couch on YouTube says, is there a chance you'll ever be a Zach Taylor fan? What would it take? Zach Taylor will not be the coach next year. Sean Payton, that's my hot take of the day. Sean Payton and the Saints, things seem a little ridgy there, right? Sean Payton's going to be out in New Orleans at the end of the year. If the Bengals can show, because the Bengals are not going to have a winning season this year. Relax, I'm not hating. The Bengals will not have a winning season this year. They're not going to make the playoffs, and there's a 95% chance they're in last place again. You cannot bring Zach Taylor back next year after winning 6 games combined the last 2 years and then another last place finish this year, not in the playoffs. It's just not going to happen. So to me, at the end of the day, Sean Payton's going to be available out there. And I think when you look at Joe Burrow, you look at T. Higgins, you look at Tyler Boyd, you look at Joe Mixon, you look at Jamar Chase, and you look at the success that Payton had in New Orleans, Sean Payton, I'm already circling that now. Sean Payton with Kevin Stefanski, with Mike Tomlin, when you look at that division with Harbaugh in the AFC North, that is going to be one of the toughest divisions moving forward, because if Haskins ends up panning out, the transition from, Roethlisberger to him, the Steelers may not miss too much of a beat here, especially as you're watching an older Roethlisberger that, you might see a more athletic Haskins take over for Roethlisberger after this year. That's the move I'm looking out for. So Just Couch, I appreciate the question. It's nothing personal with Zach Taylor. He should have never been the coach to begin with. But I think that they brought in a young coach. You're going to do a lot of losing anyways throughout the rebuild, so it's not like you needed to bring in an experienced coach to come coach a rebuilding losing team. But there's no example out there of a coach that has led a rebuilding team the whole way through and then come out on the victorious side of being a part of all the wins and the success of the franchise. So that's where I'm at when it comes to the Bengals. You may think I'm being a hater. Zach Taylor's not it. Not going to be the guy. There's nothing that they could do this year that's going to keep his job. And sure, you could say make the playoffs, win the Super Bowl. You sound silly at that point. That's not going to happen. Sean Payton, you can laugh at me all you want, but at the end of the day, I'm telling you, I'm confirming your compliments about this team of saying the quarterback's outstanding. The weapons are fantastic. That's exactly why he works so well in New Orleans. Why wouldn't it work in Cincinnati when you look at all of that? The draw is there. Cincinnati, you couldn't put their name out there for any big name head coaches in the past because there was nothing alluring about them. Well, now there is with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. I know we have a full 2021 season to get to, but I'm calling it now. I'm calling my shot. Look for Sean Payton to be a very realistic possibility as the head coach of the Bengals in 22 because they have everything that Sean Payton needs to be successful, and the Bengals have everything that they need to go get a head coach like him to be successful as well. So there you go. Am I out of line there? I know that hot take came out of nowhere. We'll take that into the second hour because I'm curious. I'm seeing some comments come in. I don't think I'm that out of line here. We're talking about the Cleveland Browns, and I'm going right into the Cincinnati Bengals, but I'm watching Sean Payton and the frustration that he is showing in his press conference after the Saints game. And again, they look like they're going to be a mess too. I think that the Saints are about to hit the reset button. I think they're about to say, you know what? We had a good thing. You know, their relationship with Michael Thomas is not good right now. Michael Thomas will be on his way out. Okay. The Saints, Jameis Winston is not it. ESPN's 30 for 30. They try to convince you about Tatum. Tatum's not it either. Drew Brees is out the door. They have a good offensive line. You have Alvin Kamara, you have weapons, but are they I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender. And I think that they're going to want to kind of get a new voice in there, a new face, and kind of get kind of a fresher feel in there. I don't think Sean Payton's going to be back with the Saints next year. I believe that the Bengals could be a perfect landing spot. The Bengals most likely are going to be a last place team again this year. Even if they win 7 games, which you'll feel good about, that's more games than they've won the last 2 years combined. That's still last place team in the AFC North. And I think that's a good opportunity with Joe Burrow, with Joe Mixon, with Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins and Jamar Chase to go out to Sean Payton and say, hey, why don't you try to come recreate that magic you had in New Orleans with Drew Brees and Michael Thomas and Kamara and recreate that here in Cincinnati with the younger bunch. Your thoughts, Bengals fans. 518-1410. We'll be back in just a moment. Hour 2 of the Justin Kinner Show next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
DoorDash here with Summer of Dash Pass. Right now, Dash Pass members are taking $10 off groceries, alcohol, pet food, and more. Need a nightcap? $10 off. Got a cough? Get relief delivered for less. Want to surprise your crush? Send a gift and save. Try Dash Pass for free and get special savings, exclusive menu items, and $0 delivery fees year-round. Get more from your neighborhood now with Dash Pass in the DoorDash app. And stay cool out there. Terms and conditions apply.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Napa know-how. Right now, a 5-quart jug of Napa full synthetic motor oil is just $18.99. It keeps your engine from breaking down without breaking the bank. Yep, a 5-quart jug of Napa full synthetic for $18.99 is not just a great deal. It's the break you've been waiting for. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how. At participating locations does not include state local taxes or recycling fees. Advertised sales price may not be available in some states. Offer ends 8/31/21.
Staples Connect has everything for school at amazing prices. Now, Staples 2-pocket paper folders are just 15 cents. And comp books, 24-pack Crayola crayons, and 8 packs of Pep Rally No. 2 pencils are 50 cents each. So you won't just be ready for school, you'll be Prepared Parent of the Year ready.
I just want to thank my family and Staples for making this possible.
Visit your local Staples or staples.com/back-to-school and get more than ready for school. Ends 8/21. Limit 30 except no limit on pencils. Pocket folder offer in-store only.
And now a small business setback is assessed by a beloved family pediatrician.
Oh, hey, Tiger. Big scary tree branch give your work truck a boo-boo? Yeah.
Wow. See this thing on my phone here? It's the Progressive mobile app. Just push that little button there and report your claim. Attaboy.
When owning a small business gets painful, Progressive Commercial is here to make it all better. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com.
What's this? Candy drawer? Who wants a lollipop?
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms and conditions. Photo claims not available in all states or situations.
Benito's line cook just threw in his kitchen towel.
This order needs to go out right now.
He needs to find help before his customers are left waiting.
I'm so sorry. We'll be right with you. Who's got table 6?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Spicy chicken nuggets. We didn't say Wendy's, but you probably thought Wendy's because when it comes to spicy nugs, Wendy's is the only answer. Order yours today at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Don't miss the ESPN Dayton Glacier Softwater High School Football Game of the Week every Friday night, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and Justin Kinner will have the call all season long. Check out wingam.com for the complete schedule and to stream the games live. WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
All right, welcome back. Happy Monday, everybody. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. I hope everyone had a great weekend. So, again, not stirring the pot here. I just thought of something though earlier today. I was watching just the different press conferences from the coaches following, the preseason. And, what's funny is the Bengals have won 6 combined games over the last 2 years, and there's still so many question marks about the direction of the franchise. And you look at the different situations that a lot of franchises are in, you can kind of get a good feel for what franchises feel good about the direction that they are going in and which franchises feel like they are going in the wrong direction. And one franchise that interested me the most, because I'm following a former Dayton Flyer and Adam Troutman's career in the New Orleans Saints, I've been trying to keep an eye on kind of what's going on in New Orleans. No more Drew Brees. You have Jameis Winston. Everyone hoping that, Sean Payton and company, offensive guru, can kind of reinvigorate the career, rejuvenate the career of Jameis Winston. And then you have, Taysom Hill, who has been a freak athlete at quarterback and very versatile, could do a lot of little things, but I don't think anyone feels like Drew Brees is being replaced by Drew Brees. So that's kind of the situation going on in New Orleans. But Jameis Winston, ESPN's 30 for 30, as I call him, again, a few years ago, his last time as a starter with the Buccaneers, threw for 35 touchdowns. I mean, it was unbelievable what he did. I mean, the dude can throw the football. He threw for a ton of yards. He threw for a ton of touchdowns with Godwin and guys like that. But he also threw 30 interceptions. All right. And already, interceptions in the preseason. He's thrown a lot of picks in camp. And then you hear, some of the comments in the post game from Sean Payton. Sean Payton, very chippy. Does not feel good about his quarterback situation. And you know what? Good for him. I get tired of coaches being told that they have to say the right things to keep everyone's feelings at bay. If you as a fan base are concerned about where you are at quarterback wise, what do you think the coach is feeling like? Like, if fans are concerned, what do you think the pressure's like on the head coach? So Sean Payton, you could tell there's an edginess there. He's not happy. There's not an optimism and excitement heading into this season. There's a ton of question marks, and I don't think that Taysom Hill has done enough to separate himself from Jameis Winston, and I don't think Jameis Winston has done nearly enough to separate himself from Hill, even though many believe, including me coming in, that Winston should have been the guy. Then you hear the interviews and the reaction, so Sean Payton got into it about, he really got some heat for his takes on Michael Thomas. And there's some beef between him and Michael Thomas. The Saints have paid Michael Thomas a lot of money. As Kamara, they have a very good offensive line. They have the weapons to be really good. And when you look at the Saints, it's like, man, so there's a lot of optimism. There's not a lot of optimism. If you go read their message boards, if you kind of get the sense from that fan base over there, there are way more question marks than answers moving forward. And there's a lot of money invested into that team. But folks, if at the end of this season, if you do not have a quarterback, if the New Orleans Saints don't have a quarterback, then it doesn't matter how much money Michael Thomas is making and Kamara and others, because they'll be traded. The Saints will move on from Kamara. They'll move on from Michael Thomas. They'll move on from the weapons that they have, because if you don't have a quarterback, it's all about positioning yourself to go target a quarterback in the draft. So as far as I'm concerned, the relationship between Sean Payton and the Saints, this is his last year. And I threw this out there right before to close out the first hour. And of course, everyone has a hot take on this. This is my hot take of the week. I'm actually proud of this hot take. It impacts me as a Browns fan negatively. I would be concerned at this point. The reason I don't take the Bengals seriously, outside of their goofy owner, their head coach. I can't get over that. In the NFL, coaching matters. And to sit there, if after 2 or 3 years you don't know who Zach Taylor is, I don't know what to tell you at that point. Like, that means you don't know. There's nothing there. Zach Taylor's not just going to magically snap his fingers and become an adult and understand football. Like, I know he knows the X's and O's, but it's not like the team's going to rally around him. I just don't see that happening. And I asked this question, and Shaw, I'll give you a shout out here in a second. Who was the last coach that was able to take over a rebuilding team and be able to come out as the head coach on the other side? You take over a team that's bad. You lead them through, you navigate them through the rebuild. You're a part of the team coming up and being good on the other side. For instance, the Cleveland Browns. Hugh Jackson was the head coach of that very bad Browns team, won 1 or 2 games in 2 years. He's part of the 1-win season in 17, part of the 16, part of the no-win team in 17, what have you. And then, of course, he's the head coach of Baker Mayfield. And again, the issues, there were just too many issues to overcome. They move on from him, right? Like, there's too many examples of coaches who are part of the team when they're rebuilding who don't get to enjoy the winning when all the roster's put together. For instance, like right now, if you look at Kevin Stefanski, what kind of job would Hugh Jackson do with this roster? Say what you want about Hugh Jackson, but he was the most sought-after offensive coordinator in all of football to be a head coach in the National Football League. That's how quickly things change. Do you think that Hugh Jackson all of a sudden doesn't know how to lead an offense? I disagree with that. I think that he can, but it's hard to rub off the stink of going 0-16. That's always going to be the aura of him. And I think when you look at all of that, there's not a scenario out there that I can think of that has a head coach taking over a bad team and leading them to the promised land on the other side. Shaw threw out Jimmy Johnson's name for the Dallas Cowboys. And Shaw, you are 1,000,000% correct. Jimmy Johnson took over the Cowboys in 89. They were 1-15. They were 7-9 the next year. They went 11-5 in 91. 13-3, of course, is what they were in 92 when they won the Super Bowl, and then the rest is history from there. Jimmy Johnson was the only coach in the last 30 years. So, Shaw, I appreciate that. So that's an example. I was looking for that because I couldn't think of one. There's not an example out there of a coach that's leading a rebuilding team that gets to enjoy the fruits of the labor when it's all said and done. And Jimmy Johnson's the last coach that did that. Jimmy Johnson was a part of the 1-15 Dallas Cowboys in 89, and then slowly got to stick around and be a part of the build with Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin and company. And then, of course, we all know where it went from there. So at the end of the day, Zach Taylor will not be if history tells us anything, Zach Taylor will not be the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals in 22. Sean Payton, his time in New Orleans is coming to a close. He's a fantastic coach. He brought that city a Super Bowl. He was a part of that historic run with Drew Brees. He's not a bad coach, but there comes a time, and Keith Byers has said this many times, there's a certain point where the message becomes stale in the locker room. When the same message is around for too long, even with success, the message can become stale. And although they've won a lot of games and they get to the playoffs and they're competing for the division lead every year, they haven't won a Super Bowl in a while. So that message becomes stale. That's why Bill Belichick's been able to dominate the NFL as long as he has, is because sure, there would be pockets of years where they wouldn't win a Super Bowl, but then after 3 or 4 years of a drought, they'd win one, and then it kind of resets the message again. You buy into it more because, A, it's working. But after a while of only one Super Bowl in New Orleans, Sean Payton, still a fantastic coach. He'll be one of the most sought-after head coaches if he enters the free agent coaching market. That's where the Cincinnati Bengals come in. I don't think Zach Taylor will not be the head coach of the Bengals when they come out on the other side of this. They're going to end up in last place in this division this year. That's not me hating, but they're not that good. They have some weapons. I love Joseph Osai. I'm going to hate him twice a week, or twice a season, I should say, right? Like, I'm going to hate that. I don't want Baker Mayfield. As good as that Browns offensive line is, that dude's going to be a problem. Hendrickson's going to be a problem. I'm giving them their props. But the problems run out after that. Actually, new problems arise and a different kind of problems. I don't like this Bengals roster makeup as of right now, but the key pieces are there to be successful. You have Joe Burrow. All right, you have Jamar Chase, your number one wide receiver now. You have Tyler Boyd, you have T. Higgins, you have Joe Mixon, you have Jonah Williams, who I think is your main key piece of that offensive line, and they're going to have to find ways. They're going to have to build that offensive line in free agency. I think that Mike Brown has to stop being so damn stubborn and just realize that your way is not the right way. But then again, it hasn't happened to this point. My point is this, though. Say what you want. The Cincinnati Bengals, there's no way that they're going to go to that franchise. Sean Payton would never go to that franchise. This isn't about what franchise you go to. It's about the quarterback you go to. Joe Burrow is what has opened doors to possibilities at head coach. Why would you settle for Zach Taylor when you can go get an actual coach like Sean Payton to come to Cincinnati and shore it all up? Sean Payton should be the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals in the near future. He is done in New Orleans after this year. That's my first hot take. My second hot take is that Zach Taylor will not be the head coach. That's not really a hot take. That's just common sense. Even you diehard Bengals fans should buy into the fact that no coach outside of Jimmy Johnson in the last 30 years has been a part of a rebuilding team that has come out as the head coach on the winning side. It's only happened once in the last 30 years. Shaw, thank you for that. Jimmy Johnson with the Cowboys. That's it. So history has told you Zach Taylor will not be the head coach when this thing turns around. That's where Sean Payton comes in. And can you imagine Sean Payton with Joe Burrow and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon? And if that offensive line does get buttoned up, okay, look out. Sean Payton can reinvent in Cincinnati what he had in New Orleans. And to be honest with you, he did a lot of winning in New Orleans on the downslide of the career of Drew Brees. Imagine what he could do with a young and upcoming quarterback in Joe Burrow. Look, I don't like the Bengals. I'm a Browns fan. I don't want the Bengals to flip that switch, but I would be lying if I didn't look at that roster and say that they have the core pieces to be able to start building around. And you have your offensive set. You have your offense set now outside of that line, which is a big deal, yes. But I think that if Sean Payton looks at that roster and he says, do I have my quarterback? Yes. Does my quarterback have weapons? Oh, absolutely. Do we have a good run game? Yes. Is Joe Mixon Kamara? No. But Joe Mixon's the same type of player. And Joe Mixon, you can get a ton of play out of. All right. And you look at Jamar Chase. Hopefully he's Michael Thomas. That's why you drafted him at number 5 overall over an offensive lineman, right? And then you look at the supporting cast of Boyd and Higgins. And Higgins, the Bengals could end up with 2 number 1s when it's all said and done. Like when they got T. Higgins last year, I was like, oh man, that's a hell of a get. I hated that they got T. Higgins, by the way, because I knew how dominant that kid could be. And T. Higgins with Joe Burrow and Tyler Boyd, I respected that. If Jamar Chase lives up to be a Michael Thomas or a Justin Jefferson with T. Higgins and Boyd, it's coming from me and it's painful. Why wouldn't Sean Payton want to go to that? Why would Sean Payton want to stay in New Orleans with a disgruntled Michael Thomas, who won't even be in New Orleans after this year to begin with, and Jameis Winston? Why stay for that when you can have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase? I think it's as simple as that. I don't think I'm that crazy for suggesting that. I really do believe that Sean Payton makes a ton of sense in Cincinnati. It makes a ton of sense in the AFC North. And as a Cleveland Browns fan, I want Kevin Stefanski against Sean Payton twice a season. 3 times a season, if you catch my drift. I want Mike Tomlin and Sean Payton twice a year in the AFC North. All right. I love the AFC North if that happens. If the Bengals are your worst team in the AFC North, you have a pretty good division. You have a pretty good division. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. We'll open up the phone lines coming up here in just a moment. So, getting a lot of responses here on Facebook. We're live on Facebook. Go to Facebook, search the Justin Kinner Show. I'm curious everyone's thoughts on this. All right. I'm curious everyone's thoughts on this as far as the direction of the Cincinnati Bengals. And do you see a path for Sean Payton to come to Cincinnati? I'm telling you, it makes a lot of sense. The Bengals are going to be improved this year. That doesn't mean they're going to be good. I'm 5'7". If I went and I measured myself tomorrow and I'm 5'8", I'm taller, but I'm not tall. The Bengals improved from last year to this year. They're improved, but they're not good. But they have the core weapons that when it all comes together, look out. Even I can acknowledge that. Sean Payton's going to be the guy that does that. And Mike Brown needs to acknowledge that and realize that Sean Payton's done in New Orleans after this year because he's not going to stick around for a team's number one wide receiver that's about to leave. Michael Thomas is over New Orleans. And you have Jameis Winston. Why would he stick around in New Orleans? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Sean Payton's available out there. There's not a team out there that looks more alluring than the Cincinnati Bengals, and they need that. Sean Payton it is, baby. Let's make it happen. I want it to happen, and I'm a Browns fan. How about that? All right, so now we can take your phone calls. I'm going to step away. I'm going to get you guys in line. 518-1410. Bengals fans, I want to hear from you. Are you that obsessed with Zach Taylor? For those of you yelling at me on Facebook and Twitter, are you that mad at me? Do you love Zach Taylor that much? And are you really that delusional to think that Zach Taylor is a better option than Sean Payton? Really? 518-1410. We'll take your calls next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, a high near 76. Tonight will be mostly cloudy, also with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, a low near 66. And tomorrow will be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, a high near 80. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Cullet Propane, making buying propane easy since 1952, offering budget billing and pre-buy options. Find out more at culletpropane.com.
Did you know there's dust floating around your home?
Really?
Yeah. Dust starts on hard surfaces like shelves and ceiling fans. And when you walk by, dust starts to move, compromising the quality of the air you and your family breathe.
So what do I do?
Get Swiffer Heavy Duty Duster. Swiffer Heavy Duty Duster is the fast and easy way to trap and lock dust.
Before it gets into the air.
Exactly. So you can just... Swiffer Heavy Duty Duster, proud partner of the American Lung Association.
Staying connected is important in today's world. Whether it's hearing the news of a new baby in the family or calling work to let your boss know you're running late, phone and internet service keep you connected with your world. At AT&T, we know that some Americans face life every day without the comfort and security of having a phone or internet service. In certain areas, you may be able to reduce your phone or internet bill with a Lifeline discount if you are in a qualifying low-income household. Additional discounts of up to $25 may be available to those living on federally recognized tribal lands where AT&T offers Lifeline. To find out more about Lifeline and other AT&T products and services, call us at 800-288-2020 or go to att.com/lifeline if you have access to the internet.
Lifeline is a government benefit program, and willfully making false statements to obtain this benefit is punishable by fine or imprisonment and could result in termination of Lifeline service. Lifeline enrollment requires certain eligibility documentation and is non-transferable. Limited to one discount per household. AT&T services, including Lifeline, are not available in all areas. Other restrictions apply.
Dutch Boy's new Platinum Plus paint with stain shield technology has the performance you expect from a luxury paint at a price you didn't. Platinum Plus is up to 50% more washable and stain resistant than a leading premium paint in satin sheen. Superiority ranges from 24 to 50% depending on sheen selected. Platinum Plus keeps your walls looking new longer. Menards and Dutch Boy paint have you covered. Go ahead, live your life.
Get 11% off everything now at Menards. Savings or mail-in rebate. See store for details.
The Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Help Center brings the courthouse to the community with its weekly outreach programs to local churches, libraries, and community centers. We help you navigate the legal system. Find a location near you at courthouse2u.com. Brought to you by Montgomery County Clerk of Courts, Mike Foley.
Hey, welcome to Everything Outdoors. Can I help you find anything?
Hey, yeah. Can you point us to the camping gear?
Sure, aisle 2.
Snowboarding? Just bought a new Nissan Pathfinder. It's got intelligent 4x4, and we want to hit the backcountry.
Aisle 18.
And the boats?
Are you sure you can do all this?
Up to 6,000 pounds towing, we're good to go. Oh, where's the scuba gear?
Return to rugged in the all-new 2022 Nissan Pathfinder. Available intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions. Towing capability varies by configuration. See Nissan Owner's Manual for proper use.
Sunday! It's the savings event of the season. Progressive's Home and Auto Bundle Extravafesta Save-a-thon. Your chance to save big by bundling your home and auto insurance. But only this Sunday. Unless you're busy, in which case you can bundle Tuesday. Or if you already have dinner plans, then try Friday. But if the week gets away from you, you can just wait till next Sunday. Because Progressive's Home and Auto Bundle Extravafesta Save-a-thon isn't going anywhere. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Research shows that people remember radio ads with a booming voice that emphasizes all the main points. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
That part is super important.
Here's one with a booming voice.
I'm emphasizing everything.
Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance.
Like a page with every word highlighted.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Liberty, 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 liberty.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year, we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. Don't look back and wish that you had taken action. Call 833-8ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
It's Wendy's BOGO $1. Get a Dave single plus another favorite for just $1 more. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value. Restrictions apply.
Week 1 of the high school football season is officially here. The Centerville Elks welcome in the Fairfield Indians Friday night at 7 p.m. for the ESPN Dayton Glacier Softwater Game of the Week. Listen live at 1410 Wing AM or stream at wingam.com.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner with you here on a Monday. The Justin Kinner Show brought to you by Orion Sports Medicine. Kev Nash out today. He'll be back on Wednesday. Hope you guys had a great weekend. NFL preseason week 1 in the books, or at least preseason game 1. I don't know how that officially you word that, but nonetheless, Bengals and Browns both coming away with a victory in their preseason openers. And like I said earlier, preseason victories mean nothing, but anytime you can go out there, perform, and put, your performance on tape for coaches to evaluate. So to have a win, all while providing film to evaluate and get your team better, it's a win-win across the board. So I don't really care about preseason games from a results standpoint, but anytime you come away with the win in anything, that's a good thing. But both teams victorious over the weekend, and both really the highlight for both teams was just the dominance from 2 rookie defenders. That Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, for the linebacker for the Browns, was magnificent, man. Like, that was a steal. Between the fact that they got him and Newsome in the same draft, that's good for them. That they were lights out. And then you look at the Bengals with Joseph Osai, and it's unfortunate he had that wrist injury. And again, Zach Taylor didn't really put a big timetable on that, but that wrist injury is significant. But I'm not going to overreact to that wrist injury, and I don't want to focus on the bad luck the Bengals have had with injuries. You look at 2 years ago with Jonah Williams, and then last year, of course, with Joe Burrow, and now already the top pick injured. You have to feel good about what you saw from Osai if you're a Bengals fan. But 518-1410, we're back. I want to take your calls. We have the phone lines are full, but I'm curious what people's thoughts are this. Zach Taylor's not it. He's not going to be the coach moving forward. History has shown us that only one coach in the last 30 years has been the head coach of a team that is built to lose, with the mindset of drafting enough good players and filling the gaps at free agents to come out as winners on the other side. Only one coach has survived that. That's Jimmy Johnson of the Dallas Cowboys when that dynasty started in the early 90s. Outside of that, no coach. If you are a coach of a team that's rebuilding, you might as well kiss your career goodbye, or at least your current job status goodbye. It doesn't happen. And there's two coaches that I find fascinating right now, and that's Zach Taylor with the Bengals and Urban Meyer with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars are not expected to win this year, not expected to win next year. How is Urban Meyer going to keep that locker room intact with all of the losing and then still look at him as a leader moving forward when they get enough winning pieces there? I don't see that happening in Jacksonville. What I saw from Jacksonville over the weekend with Urban Meyer was a little concerning. And then with Zach Taylor, again, they will finish in last place in the AFC North again this year. I'm not hating. Don't change the channel. Don't do the typical hating on the local team. If you want to be a sports snowflake, then go go have a snowball fight somewhere else. We're having a conversation here. I just gave you an example that Zach Taylor will most likely not be the head coach. In fact, history tells us he will not be the head coach of this team. When this team finally does reach that point where they start winning, it's not going to happen. He will not be the head coach when the Bengals start winning, mainly because I think he's part of the problem as to why they're not winning. The Bengals could do better. You look at Sean Payton in New Orleans. They're on the decline. All right. Drew Brees is out. Michael Thomas, he's disgruntled. He's going to demand a trade and get out of there whenever he's healthy and ready to go. That relationship is bad. You already had Sean Payton who called out Michael Thomas in the media, basically saying, yeah, that injury, that surgery could have been taken care of a lot sooner to avoid having to interrupt the flow of this season. It's very Scottie Pippen-esque, right? Scottie Pippen chose to have the surgery in the middle of the season so that he would have to miss time to kind of stick it to ownership a little bit. Is that what happened with Michael Thomas? I don't know, but it doesn't sound like that's a good relationship. Michael Thomas is on the way out. And if your number one wide receiver's out and you already have question marks at quarterback and you're stuck with Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill, I'm sorry, but that doesn't sound like a recipe for success. You haven't even got to a Super Bowl when Drew Brees was leading those weapons. What makes you think that Jameis Winston is going to do anything different? Sean Payton's on his way out of New Orleans. And when you look at the success that Sean Payton had with peak Drew Brees and Michael Thomas and Kamara, one of the most electric offensive teams in football on a week-in, week-out basis, he's going to be looking for a team that has weapons that he can look at and say, oh, man, what can I do? What can I do? He can look at Arizona with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's okay. I think you can win games with Kyler Murray, but I don't think that that's an electric offense that would fit him if things don't go well in Arizona this year. You can look at the Giants and, you look at their quarterback situation and it's okay. You can look at the Eagles. You can look at the Lions, who I think all of which some have hired new coaches recently. And I think they'll be looking for more new coaches in the coming years. There's not an offense out there that makes sense for Sean Payton except one, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals. Sean Payton you look at the Cincinnati Bengals and their quarterback situation. Why would that not work? Why would Joe Burrow and Sean Payton not work? Joe Burrow if Jamar Chase is as good as you fans have tried to convince me he is, if Jamar Chase is as good as a Michael Thomas and Joe Burrow is better than the declining Drew Brees from the last couple of years, they won a lot of games with the declining Drew Brees because of the explosiveness of guys like Michael Thomas and Kamara. I don't think Joe Mixon is as good as Kamara, but I think that he is a very explosive, similar player that you can win with. And you look at Jamar Chase, if he's Michael Thomas, and then you have T. Higgins, who I believe I think the Bengals could accidentally have stumbled upon two number one wide receivers when it's all said and done. T. Higgins is that good. And Tyler Boyd, if he's your third best wide receiver, that's also really freaking good. So why would Sean Payton not look at the Cincinnati Bengals and say, I like that situation? And if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and Sean Payton is out there and you have a big dynamic playmaking quarterback in Joe Burrow with an explosive arm, you could argue, Drew Brees, as great as he was, he still didn't have the best deep ball. I know that's one of the concerns of Joe Burrow, but if he has the weapons to capitalize, I mean, my goodness, why would the Bengals not want to match up Joe Burrow with Sean Payton? And why would Sean Payton not want to come pair up with not just Joe Burrow, but Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd and Joe Mixon and what have you, and Joseph Osai and Hendrickson, and you look at the weapons that they have with Hilton and Awuzie. I'm not a Awuzie guy, but the point is there's something to work with. They need to get that deal done with Bates. Cincinnati has a very similar makeup of what he has had in New Orleans. And New Orleans is not New Orleans anymore. Drew Brees is gone. You have Jameis freaking Winston, a disgruntled Michael Thomas. Where are you going with that? Where are you going with that? You're not going anywhere with that. You couldn't win a Super Bowl in the last 3 or 4 years with Drew Brees leading that. What makes you think Jameis Winston will do anything? This is the last year for Zach Taylor in Cincinnati. It's also the last year for Sean Payton in New Orleans. And I do believe that this is setting up to where the Bengals are going to have to make another big move. Every team that has a quarterback makes that big move to help elevate the progression of that quarterback. The Browns did it with Kevin Stefanski and Baker Mayfield, and look what happened. I mean, it was a match made in heaven. It was perfect. It was perfect. The Jaguars are kind of doing it in reverse order. They're trying to get their big name head coach before the team's ready to win, which I think could backfire on them. But Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence, that's supposed to be the next big thing right there. Sean McVay, whether, they have that big offensive-minded head coach there. They're still winning a lot of games while playing musical chairs with quarterback, but they feel good about the direction of them. The Bengals need that big name head coach, that offensive-minded head coach. Zach Taylor's offensive-minded, but he's just not pushing the right buttons. And that's where I'm coming out with that. Sean Payton will be the next head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals fans, you should want that. Why is that a bad thing? I'm just saying it makes too much sense not to. 518-1410, 518-1410. Let's go to Chris in Dayton. Chris, thanks for holding, man. How are you? Chris, you there? All right, let's go on to who we have. Jeff. Jeff, thanks for holding. Welcome.
Hey, Justin. There was just one thing that I wanted to bring up. Everybody keeps saying Jimmy Johnson, but what about Pete Carroll? I mean, in 2008, Seattle was 4-12. Then in 2009, they were 5-11. Then they brought in Pete Carroll in 2010. He's the one that created everything, the Legion of Boom. They've been to 2 Super Bowls and everything else. They went through a rebuild, and he's still there. So I kind of think before Jimmy Johnson, I mean, Pete Carroll should be included in that as well.
All right, that's fair, but the difference in situations, and here's why. Who was the quarterback from Green Bay that they gave a decent chunk of money to? What was his name?
Justin.
Hello? All right, Jeff. Okay, so here's the deal. That's a great, Jeff, I appreciate that example. Seattle, very good example right there with Pete Carroll. Couple down seasons before they get Russell Wilson and boom, they take off. The difference is Pete Carroll with the Seahawks, I do believe he was well on his way to being fired, but they turned that around quickly. Like they won right away with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson saved his job because Seattle had weapons to win. They just didn't have the quarterback. And they weren't necessarily rebuilding. They were just bad. I know that sounds strange, but like the Dallas Cowboys had invested on the rebuild. Got rid of assets. They were losing a lot. They were positioning themselves in the draft to go big. That's what they did. Their whole goal was to lose a lot of games, get draft picks, get your quarterback, and move forward. That's what the Cowboys did. Jimmy Johnson's the only one that survived that. The Seahawks, they didn't tank. They didn't lose on purpose. They weren't a rebuilding team. They were just a bad team. I know it's a weird differential there, but they were just a bad team that were a quarterback away. And then all of a sudden, Pete Carroll didn't lose a lot of games. Once they got their quarterback, they started winning. To where the difference is when the Browns got Baker Mayfield, they were winning, but they weren't winning the way that they felt comfortable. And that's what's happening in Cincinnati. They look improved with Joe Burrow, but they're not winning the way that they feel comfortable with, which is why I think they'll ultimately move on. You look at Seattle with Pete Carroll, you got Russell Wilson, boom. Everything took off from there. And that's the difference to where it's not taking off in Cincinnati quick enough. You lost in the first year of Joe Burrow. You're going to lose in year 2 of Joe Burrow, and they're going to feel like they have to hit the reset button. The Browns lost right away, even with Baker Mayfield. In the second year, they were continuing to lose, and that's why they had to hit the reset button with Baker Mayfield. So I think that that's really what's kind of going on here, and that's why I think in Cincinnati it's not going to work. 518-1410. Let's go to Ron. Ron, thanks for holding. How are you?
Hi there, Justin.
Good, man. What you got for us?
Enough said about Jimmy Johnson. That was a rebuild that Dallas needed. That was the upgrade that Dallas needed, and it took off, and rest is history. Since then, we've been garbage.
A lot of winning teams. They're garbage if they're garbage if the expectation is Super Bowl or bust. They've had a lot of winning teams. They just have it hasn't culminated in a Super Bowl, and I think that's what Jerry Jones is really wanting. But
we've been garbage since Jimmy Johnson, and I think that was Jerry Jones's dealing. But that's another story. And they mended the fences at the Hall of Fame, which is great.
I loved it. That was pretty cool. The Ring of Honor and all that. But what were you going to say?
I think that Zach Taylor, what his name is for Cincinnati, is going to get Joe Burrow hurt again. No one's going to want Joe Burrow to be on Joe Burrow because they don't seem to care. Am I being out there? But hey, it is what it is. I think if Sean Payton wants to come to Cincinnati, he wants a healthy Joe Burrow. Wouldn't you?
Well, any coach coming in wants a healthy quarterback. I don't think it's that the Bengals don't care.
Healthy franchise player.
I don't think it's that the Bengals and Ron, thank you. I don't think it's that the Bengals don't care about Joe Burrow. Of course they care about Joe Burrow, but I also think they don't make the best decisions. They don't make the best drafting decisions. I think that they totally made a mistake in not taking Penei Sewell. We could talk about the bad performance in a preseason game, by all means, if you want. But it's not just the passing on Penei Sewell. They could have made up for passing on Penei Sewell had they not drafted Jackson Carman and taken a couple of the first-round graded offensive linemen that were available in the second and third rounds that they passed up on. That's where the criticism really should come from, more so than passing up on Penei Sewell for Jamar Chase. Because had they taken Jamar Chase and then ended up with the offensive lineman from Notre Dame or what have you, then they could have said, okay, Justin, shut up. We ended up getting a first-round graded offensive lineman with Jamar Chase. That's better than just getting the highest graded offensive lineman. And I would have said, okay, fine, you're right. But that's not what happened. But anyways, I don't really want to get into that. Matt Flynn, thank you, Charles. Matt says, So Matt Flynn was the quarterback of Seattle. And then that's when, of course, they moved on, of course, to Russell Wilson, and the rest is history right there. I forgot the caller. I think it was Jeff. That was a good example of another coach that's kind of close to being on that line. The point is, Sean Payton, Cincinnati, it's inevitable. I do think it's going to happen. I think it makes too much sense not to happen. And if the Cincinnati Bengals win 7 games this year, they won 2 games 2 years, or they've won 6 games, the last 2 years. If they win 7 games this year, that means they have won 13 games in 3 years. That's unacceptable. I don't care if they've won 7 games this year, more than the last 2 combined. It's still under 500. That means you still lost double-digit games, which means it's time, if a Sean Payton is out there, if you bring in Sean Payton with his offensive mind, along with the Joe Burrow and a Jamar Chase and a T. Higgins and a Tyler Boyd and a Joe Mixon, look out. Even me as a Browns fan can say, yeah, I would be worried about that. Sean Payton would be instantly, like, as much as I love Kevin Stefanski, I think Mike Tomlin's one of the top coaches in the NFL. Sean Payton would literally reset his career as well and take the Cincinnati team places. I think it needs to happen. There it is. So, Charles, he says, played 1 game at Green Bay and threw for over 500 yards, made his money on 1 game. Charles, who was the quarterback for Washington last year? I forget his name as well, but he had a big game against the Bucs in the preseason game. And, they ended up signing him to a nice little deal as well. Otherwise, he would have been looking for a new team. Brad Mays on Facebook says it's not the roster keeping good coaches away, it's the ownership. Bengals are the only team in the NFL without an indoor practice facility. That's true. By the way, Wittenberg was showing off their amazing, Wittenberg, good for them. They were showing off that beautiful indoor complex that they have, and I was just laughing because I'm like, well, it's raining. Let's head inside. That's Wittenberg football. The Bengals have to stay outside in the rain the whole time. Like, that's just amazing to me how that works. But yes, that's a shot that I'll save for later. Eric Myers on Facebook says it won't work because this year without an OL will ruin Joe Burrow. I hope not. Look, my bottom line is this, is I bring up the potential of injury all the time for Joe Burrow because of that bad offensive line. But I'm just thinking from a bottom line perspective, if Sean Payton's available and you have Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon, why would that not work? Joseph Osai along with Hendrickson, and then, of course, I like Hilton and Bates. The core pieces are there for the Bengals to be the next big thing in the NFL, but they have to get the coach right. Name one roster in the NFL that's the next big thing that doesn't have the right coach. The Bengals might be the closest to that. There's only one team in the NFL that has a ton of pieces that just doesn't have the head coach, and that's the Bengals. Even me, the biggest Bengals hater out there, can acknowledge that they have the quarterback. They have 3 really good weapons at wide receiver. They have Joe Mixon. They have really good individual pieces on defense. I don't think collectively as a whole they're going to be great. I like what they have there. Sean Payton, go get him. Go get him. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine, live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Brad Mays again says Taylor Heineke. There we go. Heineke was the guy that, very similar to Flynn, had a humongous game in the playoffs, stepped up big time. Again, no Fitzpatrick for Washington last year, has that huge game in the playoffs. And then all of a sudden, it's like Washington was like, well, we can't just let him go. What if that's really who he is, and we end up letting him walk out the door and some other team pick him up, and he's a Pro Bowl quarterback moving forward? Of course, Washington, now with Fitzpatrick, they have him this year. That's who they're rolling with. It'll be interesting to see what they have at Alex Smith, is who I meant to say a little bit ago. All right, we'll step away for a few moments. 518-1410. I like that Sean Payton to Cincinnati deal. Friday night yikes. Not Friday night lights, Friday night yikes. A local high school football team has their game. Two local high school football teams have their Friday night game canceled due to COVID. No players have tested positive, but due to contact tracing, these two schools will not kick off the 2021 high school football season on Friday night. Parents are upset. Fans are upset. Can we see more of this? I'm interested in people's thoughts. Again, last year, we were grateful just to have any kind of high school football season. It was shortened. Every team made the playoffs. It was a very unique situation last year. This year, kind of back to normal. 10 regular season games. Now 9 for 2 teams. Will we see more games canceled? That's what I'm curious about. We're going to talk about that on the other side. 518-1410, more of the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Orion Sports Medicine, when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Hi, Tom Bodette for Motel 6, leaving the light on for the three-dimensional soccer fan. Those cardboard cutouts were feeling a little flat. They didn't even yell goal for as long as possible when we finally scored. Well, while the cardboard you is packed away, the real you can head to the next road game. Motel 6 will help you get back into the action with clean, comfortable rooms at a great low rate. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Staying connected is important in today's world. Whether it's hearing the news of a new baby in the family or calling work to let your boss know you're running late, phone and internet service keep you connected with your world. At AT&T, we know that some Americans face life every day without the comfort and security of having a phone or internet service. In certain areas, you may be able to reduce your phone or internet bill with a Lifeline discount if you are in a qualifying low-income household. Additional discounts of up to $25 may be available to those living on federally recognized tribal lands where AT&T offers Lifeline. To find out more about Lifeline and other AT&T products and services, call us at 800-288-2020 or go to att.com/lifeline if you have access to the internet.
Lifeline is a government benefit program, and willfully making false statements to obtain this benefit is punishable by fine or imprisonment and could result in termination of Lifeline service. Lifeline enrollment requires certain eligibility documentation and is non-transferable. Limited to 1 discount per household. AT&T services, including Lifeline, are not available in all areas. Other restrictions apply.
With Amdro, you can enjoy your backyard like never before. Our round-the-clock pest protection gives you the peace of mind to enjoy your great outdoors without a care in the world. Okay, we can't defend you against the splash zone. But when it comes to ants and other pests, we've got you covered 24/7. Find Amdro in the insecticide aisle at your nearest retailer.
It's the Home and Auto Bundle Extravafesta Save-a-thon, the annual year-long event where you can save big by bundling Home and Auto with Progressive. So big that we're kicking things off with fireworks, a monster truck battle, a fighter jet flyover, and it wouldn't be a party without the Home and Auto Bundle Extravafesta Save-a-thon dancers. You can't really hear them, but trust us, they are working it. So come for the fun and stay for the savings. Only at Progressive's Home and Auto Bundle Extravafesta Save-a-thon. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
For the ones going above and beyond. For the ones reaching out, helping out, and lending a hand. For the ones people count on. You can count on Grainger. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, backed by 24/7 customer support and specialists to help with hard-to-find products. Because you've got everyone's back. We've got yours. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With Amdro, you can enjoy your backyard like never before. Our round-the-clock pest protection gives you the peace of mind to enjoy your great outdoors without a care in the world. Okay, we can't defend you against the splash zone. But when it comes to ants and other pests, we've got you covered 24/7. Find Amdro in the insecticide aisle at your nearest retailer.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
D-Max, home of the Duramax diesel engine, is now hiring in Moraine and Brookville. To learn more about D-Max and all current openings, go to dmaxengines.com. That's dmaxengines.com. D-Max, your engine for success.
It's Wendy's BOGO $1. Get a Dave single plus another favorite for just $1 more. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Valid per item of equal or lesser value. Restrictions apply.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. Whether you're at home, at work, or in your car, tune in to ESPN 1410 Wing AM or stream us live at wingam.com.
All right, we are back. Justin Kinner with you here on a Monday. Hope everyone had a great weekend. The Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine as we wrap up hour number 2, Friday Night Yikes. We'll get into that coming up here top of the hour. 2 local teams will have their week 1 matchup, not postponed, but canceled. A 10-week regular season for the 2021 high school football season will now be a 9-game regular season for these 2 teams. And I'm curious how that goes when you talk about, for one, is there time for these 2 teams here on Monday? And we'll get to this in a moment. But will these teams will they be able to make up a game? Is there other teams that they could play? Probably not everyone's in action Friday. Very unfortunate. We'll get to that in a moment. But we're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. So going to get to some of these reactions here. Don Roberts says, so what happens again? Talking about the Bengals. I don't think there's anything that Zach Taylor could do this year to keep his job outside of make a playoff run and win the Super Bowl. And folks, that's something he could do to keep his job, but it's not happening. Look, the Browns, I know you hate the Browns, but you have to at some point, you just have to acknowledge that the Browns are really good. They're an elite team. I saw someone go at me on my Facebook page over the weekend that there's no way in hell that they're an elite team. They're an elite team. I know it's painful for you to admit that, and it's okay. I'm not going to force you to admit that, but you sound silly if you're saying that they're not elite. They are. They have elite weapons literally on both sides of the ball all over the place. They were a 13 total win team last year, including a win in the playoffs on the road at Pittsburgh. We're a quarter away from getting to the AFC title game, and they're even better this season. So to sit there and try to convince yourself and me that they're not elite, I feel bad for you. Take that mess elsewhere. Pittsburgh, they're still the Pittsburgh Steelers. Are they Super Bowl contenders? I'm not willing to go there. But they're still very good. I think they're going to be a 9-10 win team. I still think that defense is still, good enough to make. They're well coached defensively. They still have a lot of their elite defensive weapons. That offensive line is going to need some work, but it's still in better shape than the Bengals, in my opinion. I'm not willing to say that the Bengals' offensive line is better. I think that the Bengals have better weapons. I still think there's more question marks about Joe Burrow's deep throw ability. I just don't think that Joe Burrow is a finished product yet for you to sit there and say that the Bengals are better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I know I'm trying to find the comment here on Facebook as far as, my comments on that. So Nick on Facebook says, so if Cleveland and Baltimore, he goes, so if Cleveland and Baltimore are 1 and 2 in the division, but he goes, I will say this, that the Bengals will not be 4th in the division. Pittsburgh couldn't beat Cincy with Finley at quarterback. Folks, we got to stop that. That's like saying that Ohio State basketball will not win the Big Ten this year because they couldn't even beat Oral Roberts. Upsets happen. The Bengals didn't figure out the Steelers last year. Ryan Finley didn't all of a sudden learn how to beat the Steelers. It was an upset. Upsets happen. The Jets last year, beat some good. They beat the Rams last year. The Rams had the number 1 defense in the NFL. The Rams were one of the best teams in the NFL. No one and their mother believes that the Jets are better than the Rams. We got to stop that. We Bengals fans, I've been praising the Bengals all day. I love what they have. They have weapons. They're going to be good. I don't think they're going to be good this year, but they have everything. You have your quarterback. You have your offensive skill players. You have some good key pieces on defense. You're missing a coach and you're missing some depth in the middle, but overall, the Bengals are trending in the right direction. They're not better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are not going to finish anywhere other than last. As long as the Ravens, Browns, and Steelers are healthy, that's your teams 1, 2, and 3. And I really think it just comes down to the Browns or Ravens of who wins the division. Browns, Ravens, Steelers, Bengals. Now, the Bengals could still win 7 games. Like, that's the thing. Like, 7 wins is not a bad thing for the Bengals this season. You are going in the right direction. You're going to win some games. You're going to lose a lot of games, though. 7-10 is the record of the Bengals this year. That's not, I mean, and even, okay, let's say that the Steelers finish worse than that. Are you really pumping your chest that you won 7 games and didn't finish in last? I mean, whatever, small victories. Now, look, this is turning into me bashing, and I'm not doing that today. I'm tired of people throwing ice cream at my car, okay? Like, I'm not bashing the Bengals today. I'm just being a realist. The Cincinnati Bengals are not better than the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, Nick, I know what you're trying to say, and for those of you, just to recap, Nick on Facebook says, he gets that Cleveland and Baltimore are 1 and 2, but he said that there's no way that the Bengals are going to not finish in 4th this year because Pittsburgh couldn't even beat Cincy with Ryan Finley at quarterback. Upsets happen. The Ohio State men's basketball team this year is going to win a ton of basketball games, and they're going to compete for the Big Ten title. And nobody out there is going to say, well, Ohio State, there's no way that they could compete for the Big Ten in men's college basketball because they couldn't even beat Oral Roberts. Upsets happen. That doesn't mean that you're better. No one and their mother believes that Appalachian State was actually better than Michigan that year. They were just better than Michigan that day, right? That was pretty funny. It's still one of my favorite upsets of all time. Bottom line is the Bengals weren't better than the Steelers last year. They just beat the Steelers. The Jets beat the Rams last year. I mean, what do you want me to say? Like, let's just be real. It is what it is. But that's a bad example, Nick. You're better than that. I expected better in your answer at the end of the day. So it is what it is. So Don Roberts on Facebook says, so what has to happen? What happens if the Bengals start out, let's say, the first half 6-2? Is it still a coaching problem? He's just curious. Look, at the end of the day right now, let's say that the Cincinnati Bengals, okay, and we just lost our Facebook feed or whatever, but we'll get that back up and rolling. So he says if the Cincinnati Bengals start out 6-2, that would mean if they started out 6-2, that means that they would have to have wins over at least Green Bay, Pittsburgh, Chicago, and some others, which whatever, regardless of that. If they're 6-2, they could still finish with 8 wins on the season, which is still 8-9, which is still under 500, which is still second to last in the division, which I still think they finish in last. Don, I see what you're saying. It's still a coaching problem because let's say that they get it all figured out. Let's say that the Bengals finally hit the point next offseason because they're tired of being in last or second to last, where they say, fine, forget it. We call Uncle. Okay? We're done. We are officially buying an offensive line. We're going to keep Jonah Williams, but we are officially going all, like Riley Reif will try bringing him back. We are going to spend a dime on every offensive lineman. We are going to if you go, I think the Bengals are going to have to rip that Band-Aid off, and they're going to have to go get that offensive line. Once they do that, they are as marketable a team in the NFL. Any coach out there that's available is going to want them. Sean Payton will want the Cincinnati Bengals. Sean Payton and the Cincinnati Bengals has to happen, and I think it will. Zach Taylor is not going to take him to the promised land. That's where you bring in a coach that can, and I think that coach is going to be Sean Payton. So I don't think there's anything that they can do. There's nothing Zach Taylor can do other than make the playoffs, go on a playoff run, or win a Super Bowl, and none of that's happening. They're not making the playoffs, which means if they're not in the playoffs, that means they can't make a deep run in the playoffs, and if they're not in the playoffs, they can't make a run in the playoffs. That means they can't get to the Super Bowl, which means they can't win the Super Bowl, which means Sean Payton will be the next head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. Simple as that. Keith Tolliver on Facebook says Fitzpatrick, Watt, Bush, Hayward, and Harris will be a huge upgrade in the backfield. Bengals still in the basement. Not that hard. There you go. Making my points for me. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with the NFL stuff for now. We'll get into all of that more later on in the week. Overall, though, I loved what I saw from the Bengals in preseason game 1. No starters, but Joseph Osai, feel bad for him about that wrist, but the dude, he could play. Like, I hate, as a Browns fan, I hate Joseph Asai. And I mean that in the most respectable way possible. I'm going to dread playing the Bengals with Joseph Asai healthy. That's for sure. Hendrickson was part of that, bull rush too at the beginning. I like Hendrickson. Look, the Bengals are okay. They have weapons. They're just not better than the Steelers, Browns, or Ravens. It's a tough division. It's unfortunate. If the Bengals were in the NFC East, I mean, I would be hoodaying with you. But it's just not happening. Not this year, at least. All right, hour 3 next. Friday Night Yikes. We got that coming up around the corner. College football. The first AP season preseason poll was released. The coaches poll was released last week. Kevin and I dissected that. Oklahoma coming in at number 2 behind Alabama. Ohio State still in that 4 range, of course, in the AP poll. But there's a unique stat that came out about why, as long as you're in the top 5, you're in good shape. In the preseason poll. That means absolutely nothing to some, but I'll tell you why it should matter. We got a jam-packed third hour coming your way. Don't go anywhere. More of the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Hour 3 coming up next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Napa know-how.
Right now, a 5-quart jug of Napa full synthetic motor oil is just $18.99. It keeps your engine from breaking down without breaking the bank. Yep, a 5-quart jug of Napa full synthetic for $18.99 is not just a great deal. It's the break you've been waiting for. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating locations does not include state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Advertised sales price may not be available in some states. Offer ends 8/31/21.
Staples Connect has everything for school at amazing prices. Now, Staples 2-pocket paper folders are just 15 cents. And comp books, 24-pack Crayola crayons, and 8 packs of Pep Rally No. 2 pencils are 50 cents each. So you won't just be ready for school, you'll be Prepared Parent of the Year ready.
I just want to thank my family and Staples for making this possible.
Visit your local Staples or staples.com/back to school and get more than ready for school. Ends 8/21. Limit 30 except no limit on pencils. Pocket folder offer in-store only.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly Auto Parts specializes in keeping your car on the road. Not sure how much life is left in your battery? Our professional parts people will test it for free. If it does need to be replaced, we'll help you find just the right one to fit your car. Our Superstart batteries are built to handle even the toughest conditions. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Folks, when you feed your dog, does he just stand there and look at you? Make your dog great again with premium foods from Homestead Feed and Supply. If it eats, we can feed it. 1833 North Dayton Lakeview Road, New Carlisle. Tell them the Colonel sent you.
Hi, John Glazer here for Glazer Soft Water. We've been making water great since 1988, and no matter what your water issues, we have solutions. Your city water can be clear, but still be hard and have the taste and odor of chlorine. Well water can look, smell, and taste terrible. Glazer Soft Water will fix your water and will even include a 7-year parts and labor warranty so you don't have to worry. Visit our website to learn more at glazersoftwater.com. Glazer Water really is better water.
Hey, here to tell you about my friends at Cordell Transportation. They're now hiring Class A CDL drivers and offering a $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily, dedicated lanes, and no-touch freight. Brand new equipment as well. Medical, dental, vision, and company-paid life insurance. Call Cody right now. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Don't miss the ESPN Dayton Glacier Softwater High School Football Game of the Week every Friday night, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and Justin Kinner will have the call all season long. Check out wingam.com for the complete schedule and to stream the games live. WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. We're live. We're local.
What are you gonna miss? He struck him out.
We're Dayton's ESPN radio station. Now, let's send it to the WING studios for Dayton's only local sports talk show. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Week one of the high school football season is officially here, and we have our Glacier Soft Water game of the week coming up this Friday night. Myself and Keith Byers will be setting up shop in Centerville as the Elks welcome in the Fairfield Indians. It's our week one matchup of the ESPN Dayton Glacier Soft Water high school football game of the week. Keith Byers and I will have the call all season long and excited to bring that to you. We have the schedule up at wingam.com. Go and check it out, the full broadcast schedule for the upcoming high school football season. We open up with Fairfield at Centerville. We have Trotwood and Fairmont in week 2, Springfield and Trotwood in week 3. The amount of big games we have in the early going is so freaking fun to be able to watch and call. Springfield and Wayne, a lot of Springfield early, Miamisburg and Northmont later in the year, Springboro and Fairmont, Trotwood, Dunbar, Northmont and Wayne, Miamisburg, Centerville, Wayne to close out the season. I'm so excited to have high school football season back. Glacier Soft Water, again, love our partnership with them. They are, a sponsor helping us bring you high school football this year, and we're pretty pumped about that. Big high school football news that came out just a little bit ago was announced earlier today. So Springboro football, the Panthers, Springboro varsity and JV football games against Lebanon both canceled this Friday night due to COVID-19. Now, again, Fox 24/7 now broke it earlier. I shared it on my Facebook page, but Springboro football is looking for a new opponent for its opening week game Friday after a COVID-19 issue involving their scheduled opponents caused varsity and JV games to be canceled. So, according to athletic director Austin Rhodes, he said this in a tweet in a release a little bit ago. As of now, the freshman game for Springboro will be played as scheduled, but they are actively looking for an opponent to fill in this Friday. Now, I don't know how this works. Obviously, you would need an opponent that's available on Friday, but how many opponents are available on Friday? It's week one of the high school football season. Some are going to be playing Thursday, but who the hell's available to play on Friday? And again, I gotta love social media. I know it has its downfalls, but Springboro Panthers at @Borough_Panthers on Twitter. They tweeted this out earlier that due to a COVID situation at Lebanon, Friday night's varsity football game and the JV game on Saturday have been canceled. As of now, the freshman game will be played as scheduled. Now, it says that they are actively looking to fill an opponent for this Friday night. They said more info will come. Now, Clinton Massey apparently is available Friday night. I don't know the Clinton Massey situation. I don't know why they would be available. I guess help me out here. Maybe I'm missing a very easy answer here. Are there even teams available on Friday night? Everyone's matched up to play. It's week one, right? And I don't know, kind of at a loss for that one. Now, according to Springboro's Twitter account, they have reached out to Clinton Massey. More information to come. As we get more information, we will share that with you. But I don't think that this is going to be the last that we see of this scenario unfolding throughout this regular season. Last year was devastating. I almost wonder, did playing a season last year cause more heartbreak? Was more harm created than good? I love the fact that we were able to get some regular season games in. We called some great games last year, but what was heartbreaking for me was down the stretch. Tournament games were canceled. Fairborn season came to an end. Everyone made the tournament last year, which was special because teams got to taste a playoff type game that normally don't get to. Some games had their season just come to an abrupt end. They're practicing. I know Springfield, they were a state title contender last year. They didn't even get to close it out. It's unfortunate. And we're already seeing the impact of COVID here in the early going. Obviously, yes, you always want to have the option to play the season, fight through it. Hopefully you have a game that week, but you have to feel for these Springboro kids who have been busting their tail, and Lebanon as well, by the way, and health comes first. I get that. By the way, that should just be a given. Are we at the point where everyone has to spin everything people say and try to twist it to make them sound like they don't care about health and COVID and blah, blah, blah? I'm tired of always having to feel like I have to over-explain myself. But this really stinks. No offense to Lebanon, but it stinks even more for Springboro because there is no COVID issues with their program right now. They've prepared all off season. It stinks for Lebanon in different ways. It's not their fault, COVID. We're trying to get a hang on this, right? It's none of these kids' fault, but it doesn't take away that regardless of blame, they still feel. These kids are feeling the stress of this, whether it's having to go to class and wear a mask or not wear a mask, whether it's the kids' parents who are acting like a bunch of children, throwing temper tantrums about having to wear a mask or not, or when it comes to the vaccine or whatever. These kids are the ones just being destroyed right now. Like, I don't care what the parents' opinions about vaccines are. You're making your kid's life more miserable by having to feed that negative energy to them. They have to go to school. They're the ones that have to go to school and wear the masks, which is unfortunate for them and it's annoying to them. But then they feel the angst and the uncomfortableness of the parents who are acting like a bunch of crybabies at home and then having to yell at their school, yell at their teachers, yell at the school board. And the kids are supposed to be there saying, well, I wonder what chapter 1 in our history book is going to be this week. Give me a break. This has been Parenting Class with Justin Kinner, who has no kids and a beagle at home. So take notes, would you? But at the end of the day, this is just unfortunate. I'm glad that every week there will be high school football games. I'm glad that there will be volleyball games and basketball games and track meets and soccer games and what have you. But it doesn't take away the fact that these kids are going to be mentally beat up throughout this upcoming season because it's just constant start and go, start and go, start and go. So shout out to all the high school teams out there. Shout out to the kids. I hope that the parents, you do your best to not ruin this experience for them. You need to be more nurturing to these kids who are battling with, the mental side of this, instead of throwing temper tantrums about masks, urge your kids to get through this as best as they can. But you're adding to their stress by continuing to throw temper tantrums about having to wear a mask or not wear a mask or what have you. Just saying, is what it is. I'm moving on from it. But I feel bad for these kids, and I hope they get a game in. Because my big thing is, okay, you don't get a game in this week. That hurts your playoff point system and everything like that. So it's going to be interesting to see how all this pans out. So we know Lebanon will not play this week, but Springboro is still actively looking for a game. I guess if there is a silver lining to all of this, they found out early in the week. It's Monday that this news is coming out. So they have a few days. They can keep practicing. They could, prepare for a game on Friday, and hopefully they could fill that gap with an opponent as soon as possible. So we shall see. 518-1410. Parents, your thoughts on this. Do you expect to see more of this? How are you going to respond if this happens to your school? Because there's been no positive tests. Like, this is just based on contact tracing out of Lebanon. No players have tested positive. Games are being canceled without players testing positive. That's frustrating. I could get on board with that. We're canceling games without positive tests at the risk, if we are going to be this, cognizant of this thing, if we're going to jump every time that there's contact tracing and cancel games, you might as well just forget the whole season, which I don't want. But we have I don't know. This is tough. It's tough across the board. No matter what decisions are made, there's going to be a group of people that are going to pile on the school board, superintendents, the decision makers, the OHSAA, everybody. There is not a right or a wrong answer to any of this. Now, you think that your opinion is the right opinion, and that's fine, but it's an opinion. It's an opinion. But this season, for anyone that thought that, COVID was a thing of the past and that we're returning to normal as far as high school athletics is concerned, here we are, week 1, game canceled. Hopefully Springboro can get that game made up. Hopefully Lebanon, the situation's not too, bad off, and hopefully they can get a game in as well. But it doesn't sound like that's going to be the case. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Orion Sports Medicine. But we'll see what ends up happening at the end of the day when this is all said and done. So, I thought we were done with this. I thought we were not done with COVID, but I thought we were just returning to games every week. That's not going to be the case. You think back to that tournament last year, like Springfield finding out they were getting on the bus when they found out that there was going to be no football game that night, that their season was done due to COVID. Player tested positive. That's it. Boom. Season done. Both games canceled. So interesting nonetheless. All right. Let's talk a little Cincinnati Reds baseball. We'll get to that coming up around the corner. We also have more reports from Bengals camp and Browns camp today. So we'll get to all of that coming up. We'll change the tone a little bit of the show and just kind of get back into the sports world, what have you. But there was an overlap there. COVID taking a game from us this weekend. I hope the teams kind of get back out on the field. But let's talk some Reds. Let's talk some football. We'll continue it. More reports coming out of Bengals camp. Jamar Chase having a big day at Bengals camp again. I think what you're going to see too is a lot of these younger players for the Bengals Like Jamar Chase had a very nice catch, and his only target, a 16-yard reception. Again, you saw the burst, you saw the explosiveness. I think he's just getting more confident. So there's some positives from practice today. Paul Dehner Jr. reporting a couple, mistakes from Joe Burrow again that we'll highlight as well. The Browns back in action today, practice-wise as well. We'll get to all of that. Plus, the Reds made a very interesting roster move. They addressed the shortstop position. Why are Reds fans still so angry? We'll discuss next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
This afternoon will be cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, a high near 76. Tonight will be mostly cloudy, also with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, a low near 66. And tomorrow will be mostly cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms, a high near 80. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
For the ones standing guard. For the eagle-eyed. For the knights in shining armor. And for all those who support them. We are Grainger, your experienced safety partner, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, committed to helping keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com/safety, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
D-Max, home of the Duramax diesel engine, is now hiring in Moraine and Brookville. To learn more about D-Max and all current openings, go to dmaxengines.com. That's dmaxengines.com. D-Max, your engine for success.
You and your phone have been through a lot this past year. It's been your lifeline to the world. And now some big wireless company is telling you got to buy a new phone from them and sign their contract? They don't control you. With TracFone Wireless, you can keep the phone, number, and network you already have. Already got a 5G phone? Keep that too. Because TracFone runs on America's best networks now with 5G nationwide. Plus, we've got unlimited talk and text smartphone plans starting at just $20. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. 5G nationwide access requires a 5G capable device. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Staples Connect has everything for school at amazing prices. Now, Staples 2-pocket paper folders are just 15 cents. And comp books, 24-pack Crayola crayons, and 8 packs of Pep Rally No. 2 pencils are 50 cents each. So you won't just be ready for school, you'll be Prepared Parent of the Year ready.
I just want to thank my family and Staples for making this possible.
Visit your local Staples or staples.com/back to school and get more than ready for school. Ends 8/21. Limit 30 except limit on pencils. Pocket folder offer in-store only.
Greatness. It's not born of coincidence. It's not a product of luck. It's forged through dedication, drills, and the acquisition of new skills. Wanting won't get you there, but sweat equity just might.
Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street wants to wish the Dayton Flyers Red Scare the best of luck in their journey through the basketball tournament. Wear red, be loud, go Flyers!
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Each year, Ohioans are injured and killed in train car accidents that could have been avoided with properly functioning gates and flashing lights. Facts show that gates and lights together prevent more train car accidents than stop signs or crossbucks alone. How can you help? Approach all crossings with caution and report bad railroad crossings at angelsontrack.org. That's angelsontrack.org. Because bad crossings kill good drivers. Sponsored by Angels on Track, aired by OAB and this station.
Hi, I'm Sales Manager Jason High at Germain Honda Beaver Creek, proud recipient of the prestigious President's Award. We are your local Honda dealer, and we invite you to see our newly renovated state-of-the-art facility. You'll be amazed at our selection, and remember, all new Hondas come with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Visit us at Route 35, just east of 675, conveniently located near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way. I'll see you soon.
Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year, we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. Don't look back and wish that you had taken action. Call 833-8ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Research shows that people remember radio ads with British accents. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, take it from a Brit.
Oi, balmy insurance blokes fetching dosh out your pocket. It's balmy. Liberty Mutual won't leave you skint, mate.
Can you just say Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need?
I think that's what I said, you blooming.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Guys, stop putting your love life on hold. U.S. Pharmacy has some exciting news. If you've been wanting to try Viagra or Cialis, now's the perfect time. Call today and receive 90 little blue or little yellow pills for only $119 with free shipping. Why order some low-dose sildenafil from one of those subscription services when we can give you what you want now? Call 800-990-6271 and we'll rush your order discreetly packaged to your door. That's 800-990-6271.
Research shows that people remember radio ads with British accents. So to help you remember that Liberty Mutual Insurance Company customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need, take it from a Brit.
Oi, balmy insurance blokes fetching dosh out your pocket. It's balmy. Liberty Mutual won't leave you skint, mate.
Can you just say Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need?
I think that's what I said, you blooming.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
CVS pharmacists have a tool designed to look for ways that may help lower your prescription costs. Visit CVS today.
The Reds are on the radio. Every hit, every strikeout, every Reds victory. You can catch all of the action all season long right here on Dayton's home of the Reds, 1410 ESPN Radio.
You know, I know a lot of you think that I'm pretty bad at my job, and every time you tune in to the show, you're like, crap, he's still here. How can someone as bad as Kinner be put in this radio lineup every single day? And you're questioning my boss, saying, how could Kinner's boss be so bad at his job to continue putting Kinner in the afternoon slot day in and day out? Now, that may be your question, and it's a fair question. Good for you for asking. The only other example I can give as to how somebody could take someone that's so bad at their job and continuously put them in a lineup day in and day out is Eugenio Suarez. I like Eugenio Suarez, and it's unfortunate because I'm really pulling for him. But at the end of the day, this is a situation that's getting out of hand. It's really getting out of hand because Eugenio Suarez, I believe, has started 31 of the last 34 games, and he has hit 176, which is about what his season average has been. There are pitchers who hit better than him. I am so irritated because there was a stretch. All right. There was a stretch where Mike Moustakas was out, and Mike Moustakas, everyone kept saying, man, I can't wait for Mike Moustakas to get healthy. I can't wait for the Reds to get Mike Moustakas back, just so the Reds can get Mike Moustakas back and not play him and put him, basically use him as a bench player. And I don't get it. And by the way, and I'm seeing a lot of people do this on social media where, weren't you the same one that thought David Bell should have hit Joey Votto lower in the order when Joey Votto is hitting 210? Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. This is what's crazy about the analytical baseball crowd, is that they are so smart yet so stupid because they are trying to do this whole, wow, I think David Bell knows what he's doing. I think that David Bell looks at his career numbers. I don't care about career numbers. I care about, what are you doing for me now? I can't be late to work today and my boss yell at me, and then I look at my boss and say, yeah, well, I was on time to work last week. I don't care about what you did in the past. It's about what you're doing for me now. And Joey Votto at that time that was hitting 210, and I was saying, God, I can't believe that David Bell keeps hitting him at the top half of the order. And he was there every day. 210, 212, 214. Oh, man, Joey Votto's on fire. Hitting 220, put him in the cleanup spot. And Joey Votto would underperform. David Bell put him there no matter what. So after 2 years of putting Joey Votto in a spot that he should not be in, Joey Votto finally takes off. And now everyone's trying to say, see, David Bell knew what he was doing. You're an idiot. No, David Bell did not know what he was doing. David Bell keeps putting guys that don't deserve to play, and he keeps putting them in positions that hurt the team. How is the Reds are 2.5 games out of a playoff spot? They're fighting for a playoff spot. And you have a guy hitting every day at 176. You got rid of Billy Hamilton, who was a very, very good defender. And everyone justified moving on from Billy Hamilton, who was an excellent center fielder, who was dangerous on the base paths. We could not keep Billy Hamilton because the advanced analytic nerds said, well, he's hitting 220. We can't have that. But 176, you could play him 36 of the last 39 games. Joey Votto could hit 220, and you can keep him same average as what Billy Hamilton, and you can keep him right there at the top half of the order. Now, I love Joey Votto, what he's doing right now, and he's had a one fantastic freaking season. And my thing is, whatever tweaks he made, imagine if he would have made that tweak 2 years ago. Joey Votto, who is already an all-time Reds great, had he made that tweak 2 years ago, we're talking all-time great at that point. He's not an all-time great to me. He's an all-time Reds great. Votto could have been an all-time great had he made this tweak years ago, but it's besides the point. Stop defending David Bell's usage of Eugenio Suarez. Stop it. I don't care. I like Suarez. I feel bad that it's not working. There's never been a player, Billy Hamilton. Billy Hamilton and Eugenio Suarez are two players that I absolutely love, that I was pulled for the most, that just can't seem to be getting the job done. I've never seen a player dip so quickly. Maybe Devin Mesoraco for the Reds. Like, Devin Mesoraco had this like stretch where he was just tearing the ball up, and he got his extension, and everyone was like, man, the Reds have an all-star catcher of the future. And then Mesoraco, health issues kept him down. It's not health issues with Suarez. He's just no longer good. I've never seen anything like it. It's like the movie Space Jam, where they just lost their talent. The Monstars took their talent. Like, that's what happened to Suarez. I've never seen anything. I've never seen such a quick uprise and such a quick decline in so quick a time. It's unreal. Last year, I was able to, I was willing to chalk it up to COVID season starting way late in the summer. You had the start of spring training, a complete stoppage of spring training, 3 to 4 months off of labor stoppage due to the, not being able to come up with an agreement to play during COVID. Then you come back and play. It's a 60-game shortened season. You're playing in front of no fans. It's off. The season just fell off. I totally gave it, I was like, hey, he gets a pass. He gets an excuse. I'm not going to sit there and blame him for that. But this year, I mean, the dude has hit a combined, I think like last I saw was like 179 or whatever since the beginning of last season to now. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that Mike Moustakas is once again not in the lineup tonight, and Eugenio Suarez is. Like, at what point is this acceptable? You are 2.5 games out of a playoff spot. You should not have 176 in your lineup every single day. And by the way, you can rip management. You can rip whoever. When you have Mike Moustakas on the bench, you play him. Yeah, but against lefties, he's not as, at this point, you can't be so analytical when I will take Mike Moustakas' numbers against lefties, which, by the way, are better than Eugenio Suarez right now. Sure, Mike Moustakas is not as good against lefties as Suarez, but Mike Moustakas right now is better. Lefties, righties, I don't care if they throw with their foot. I don't care if they headbutt it to the catcher. He's better than Eugenio Suarez right now. It is an absolute embarrassment that David Bell is continuously throwing this out there. I mean, India, Castellanos, Votto, I love that 3. Kyle Farmer at shortstop. That's super. That's fine. They also called up Jose Barrero today. Jose Barrero was formerly known as Jose Garcia. They called him up to shortstop last year. In the moment, it was too big for him. You could tell he wasn't ready. They sent him back to the minors, had a great run in AAA. Jesse Winker goes to the 10-day injured list. And to fill his roster spot, they bring up Winker, or they bring up Barrero. Now, you also, which doesn't make any sense because Barrero can't play the outfield. So you're down to 4 outfielders, okay? You're down to 4 outfielders, and you need some versatility there. Like if you bring up Nick Senzel, there's a way to fix all of this. You keep Joey Votto at first base. You have Jonathan India at second base. And you could play Barrero at short and you put Moustakas at third. And you bring Farmer off the bench. Farmer's the utility player, not Moustakas. But instead, they bring Barrero up. They shouldn't have brought Barrero up. They should have brought Nick Senzel because Nick Senzel can play short. He could play third. He could play second. He could play outfield. Not really sure what's going on there. I'm not going to overly defend Nick Senzel because I see all the Nick Senzel lovers on social media. And at the end of the day, Jonathan India is everything that Nick Senzel was supposed to be. And Nick Senzel is not available ever. There's a reason that we're talking about, well, he's off the IL making rehab starts in AAA. Well, why is that? Because he lives in Louisville. All his mail should be forwarded there. The dude should move to Louisville because there's no need to ever get comfortable in Cincinnati because the dude just cannot stay healthy. The dude is constantly living on the IL. The dude is constantly living with rehab starts over in Louisville. Just have his mailing address, everything forwarded to Louisville. I'm not going to overly defend Nick Senzel. I'm fine with the management not going over the top to give him an opportunity. But again, I would still go with Nick Senzel over Eugenio Suarez. We have a month and a half of the season. David Bell, we don't have time for this whole, well, we just hope that Eugenio Suarez hits himself out of the slump. Are you kidding? That's called a managerial slump. When you continuously throw out a guy hitting 176 day in and day out, when you have better options, not just offensively, but defensively. Mike Moustakas should be at third. Barrero could be at short, India second, Joey Votto at first, the outfield, what have you. It doesn't make any sense. And let's say that they didn't bring Barrero up. And let's say that they just would have replaced Jesse Winker with Nick Senzel. Nick Senzel can also, because David Bell's a creepy obsession with double switches, you could move Nick Senzel all over the damn field. You could put him at second. You could put him at third. You could play shortstop. You could put him in the outfield. But instead, you bring up Barrero because you can't count on Nick Senzel. Okay, that's fine. That makes sense. Some don't look at it that way. That's how I view it. They're not going to take a chance on bringing up Nick Senzel because you can't rely on him. But you can't sit there and preach, oh, we can't rely on Nick Senzel in a playoff push, but yet you continuously throw out Eugenio Suarez, who's hitting 176. It doesn't make sense. Reds fans, help me out. What is going on here? I don't get it. I do not support this. Like, David Bell is making horrible decisions. I said this a while back. David Bell has managed very well to get them here, but he will also manage this team out of October. He has managed them to be in contention for October. He will manage them out of October. This is on David Bell. Why have Mike Moustakas? Mike Moustakas was a very big free agent pickup. The front office that everyone loves to rip, not even a year and a half ago, had the city of Cincinnati buzzing. They brought in Castellanos, who's a National League MVP candidate. They brought in Mike Moustakas and Akiyama. They traded for Trevor Bauer. They went out and got Sonny Gray. I've done this song and dance for you guys long enough. Okay. Even at this deadline, they went out and got some solid arms at the deadline. They're still not being used the way that they should be. But everyone wants to question what's not on this roster instead of looking at how what is on this roster is not being used properly. It's not that hard to figure out. I've never coached a little league game. I've never coached in middle school or high school. I've never even come close to being able to manage at the pro level. But if someone like me, who knows oh so little about baseball, can look at this situation and pinpoint the obvious, how can people who have all the numbers in front of them not get it? It doesn't make any sense. If you think that the Reds are going to get free agents to come to Cincinnati after the way that they've handled Mike Moustakas, I don't know what to tell you, because it used to be just go, show up, swing the bat, let your performance do the talking. The problem is David Bell's the only manager in the history of sports that ignores your performance. In fact, it's like he rewards bad performance. He kept Joey Votto hitting 1 through 4. I mean, Joey Votto was a leadoff hitter hitting 215 last year and at the beginning of this year. Joey Votto was rewarded for performing poorly. For performing poorly. Because David Bell kept doing the whole, well, the back of his baseball card says he's a career blah, blah, blah hitter. That's why I've never bought into the career hitter numbers, because it's not about what you do as a whole. It's about what are you doing now. Baseball's too streaky to use the back of the baseball card to justify actions, to justify performances, to justify anything. I don't care about what you did your whole career. What are you doing for me now? I mean, if Michael Jordan came out of retirement and joined the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Cavs said, we're not going to start him over Colin Sexton, are you going to say, but that's a dude that averages nearly 30 points a game? No, you're going to say he's old. He can't play as well as he used to. Folks, it's not that hard. If basketball used baseball's logic, Michael Jordan would start for every team in the NBA today and has no business starting for every NBA because people will say, well, he's a career blah, blah, blah scorer. Forgetting the fact that certain players are older, forgetting the fact that players can't hit the ball over the last 3 months, over the whole season. Oh, Eugenio Suarez, he's a career blah, blah, blah hitter. That's why you hit him. I don't care what he's done his whole career. What has he done all of last season and all of this season? Oh, yeah, struggle putting the bat on the ball. But let's continue throwing Eugenio Suarez out there while Mike Moustakas was one of the big free agent pickups 2 years ago, has just been misused after misused. Now, Jonathan India is responsible for a lot of that. I got to give the Reds credit for this, too, because they've developed Jonathan India. Jonathan India is a huge sell for is a huge win for the Reds farm system. They developed him. Jonathan India came in, and he's a star. Nick Senzel, when healthy, is a star. The Reds farm system has done a lot better job of developing guys over the years. Guys can't stay healthy. All right, like Jonathan India, Nick Senzel, solid. Jesse Winker is theirs, solid. Like, that's what's fun about it. So, but they went out and got Moustakas, not anticipating that Jonathan India was going to take off the way he did. Hell, Jonathan India, there wasn't a lot of expectations for him coming into this year. The Reds can't sit there and say, oh, we knew this was going to happen. No, that's why this is such a surprise. So Jonathan India has thrown off the plan for Mike Moustakas, but what Eugenio Suarez has done is open up the opportunity to use Moustakas more in different situations. The obsession David Bell has with continuously forcing Suarez out there is mind-boggling to me. I do not support it. I don't support you. Like, I know everyone has an opinion and everyone has the right to their opinion. Not on my show. If you think that David Bell is using Eugenio Suarez correctly, don't listen, because I'm telling you right now, that is what is hurting this team. I will never get it. Imagine if the Buckeyes is coming up here, CJ Stroud and Jack Miller. Let's say that Jack Miller has been awful in camp and that CJ Stroud has been fantastic in camp, which is the case, by the way, at least for Stroud. Jack Miller's good, but not better than Stroud. But imagine if Ryan Day said, I'm gonna play the worst quarterback because I'm loyal to that guy. Jack Miller, he had dinner at my house and I've known him forever. I'm going to play Jack Miller because I'm loyal to Jack Miller. I don't care if Stroud's the better quarterback. Imagine if that happens. Ryan Day's losing his job. You don't play the worst player. You play the better player. David Bell plays the worst player every night, and it doesn't make any sense. Randy on YouTube says, I think Jeff Brantley has a point bringing up since Suarez hurt his shoulder falling by his pool, he has not been the same hitter. Randy, you're right. I mean, we could sit here and try to psychoanalyze, at what point did Suarez change as a player, but the bottom line is it doesn't matter the reasoning. The bottom line is you're just not performing at your job. And results matter. I don't care if, I'm going through a lot at home. I'm dealing with the family death. I'm dealing with this. I know that we're supposed to be sympathetic to those kind of things nowadays, but at the end of the day, all that matters is results. David Bell is paid to win ball games. Suarez is paid to hit the ball. And if Suarez can't hit the ball and David Bell keeps taking a 176 hitter and putting him in the lineup every freaking day over Mike Moustakas, who crushes the ball every time he's in the lineup, I don't know what to tell you, folks. Mike Moustakas can play multiple positions. Suarez can't. Suarez was a liability to the Reds at shortstop. He could play third base, and that's it. Moustakas could play third base as good, swings a better bat, provides more power in the lineup, and could play second, could play first, could play outfield. Moustakas is getting the shaft here. And it's embarrassing. The Reds should be embarrassed. I don't care. Well, look at David Bell. He has this team within 2.5 games of a playoff spot. Yeah, and maybe they're in the playoff spot if he doesn't manage so poorly. Because the thing is, we keep wanting to convince ourselves that this roster is so terrible, and it's not. His roster has a lot of talent, actually. But it's easier to blame the Castellinis. It's easier to blame. I've never seen two pro teams in the same city, the same fan bases, totally switch logic with teams. Mike Brown is a horrible owner. and all you do is give him the benefit of the doubt. The Castellinis are a way better owner than Mike Brown, and all you do is rip him instead of criticizing the job that the manager is doing. If Brian Price could have had even a fraction of the talent that David Bell has had, I believe they'd be better. Can't convince me otherwise. We'll be back in a moment. 518-1410. More of the Justin Kinner Show next.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
Benito's line cook just threw in his kitchen towel.
This order needs to go out right now.
He needs to find help before his customers are left waiting.
I'm so sorry. We'll be right with you. Hey, who's got table 6?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Napa know-how. At Napa, get a $10 gift card when you buy a 5-quart jug of Mobil 1 motor oil for $27.99. A deal so rich, they'll call you an oil tycoon. Yep, with great oil for $27.99 and $10 back. All you'll need is a monocle. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how.
Napa know-how.
At participating locations does not include state local taxes or recycling fees. Advertised sales price may not be available in some states. Rebate restrictions apply. Offer ends 8/31/21.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get access. Well, not anymore, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month and no contract. Plus, get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
The Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Help Center brings the courthouse to the community with its weekly outreach programs to local churches, libraries, and community centers. We help you navigate the legal system. Find a location near you at courthouse2u.com. Brought to you by Montgomery County Clerk of Courts Mike Foley.
Now at Menards, save big money on your next outdoor project with 11% off everything. Transform your worn-out deck in one day with rock-solid deck resurfacer. The one-coat coverage, ultra-thick coating is specially designed for heavily worn decks and patios. Save 11% on all rock-solid deck resurfacers and everything else now at Menards. Good through August 21st. Savings are mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Attention Class A CDL drivers. Looking to be more than just a number? Yoel Transportation in Dayton is looking for drivers with at least 1.5 years experience. Yoel has open positions for no-tarp flatbed drivers and no-touch regional or local van drivers. Yoel is ELD compliant and offers 401k with match, medical, dental, vision, holiday pay, vacation, safety bonuses, and now has a rider policy. Call Rick or Joe at 937-294-5933 and ask about the $5,000 sign-on bonus today.
Hi, John Glazer here for Glazier Soft Water. We've been making water great since 1988, and no matter what your water issues, we have solutions. Your city water can be clear, but still be hard and have the taste and odor of chlorine. Well water can look, smell, and taste terrible. Glazier Soft Water will fix your water and will even include a 7-year parts and labor warranty so you don't have to worry. Visit our website to learn more at glaziersoftwater.com. Glazier Water really is better water.
Mow like a pro with Hustler Turf zero-turn mowers. They engineer their mowers to be maintenance and service friendly for the everyday homeowner while not sacrificing the build and cut quality they're known for. From the heavy-duty frame to the welded steel deck to their trademark smooth track steering, Hustler Turf zero-turn mowers deliver professional grade cut quality for a perfectly manicured lawn. Come in to Small Engine Service Pros to see the Hustler difference for yourself today. Small Engine Service Pros, 2030 North Dayton Lakeview Road, Route 235 in New Carlisle.
Hey everybody, Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year, we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. In fact, over 1 million homeowners took advantage of refinancing or buying a new home with Rocket Mortgage. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase again, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. With an official mortgage review from Rocket Mortgage, you'll see just how much money you could save by making a move right now. Don't look back over these next few weeks and wish that you had taken action. You could save hundreds on your mortgage payments or pay off your home loan earlier than planned. You could even take cash out of your home to pay off high-interest debt, complete home repairs, or bulk up on an emergency fund. When you want to secure a low rate, Rocket can. Call 833-8ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
It's Wendy's BOGO $1. Get a Dave single plus another favorite for just $1 more. Limited time only. Price and participation may vary. Valid per item of equal or lesser value. Restrictions apply.
Week 1 of the high school football season is officially here. The Centerville Elks welcome in the Fairfield Indians Friday night at 7 p.m. for the ESPN Dayton Glacier Softwater Game of the Week. Listen live at 1410 Wing AM or stream at wingam.com.
That's right. You just heard it right there. Our week 1 game of the week, our Glacier Softwater game of the week, will feature the Centerville Elks and the Fairfield Indians. Kickoff at 7 p.m. Coverage begins at 7 as well. College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and myself will bring you the week 1 matchup between the Elks and the Indians on Friday night, as well as all 10 weeks of regular season action. Expect to hear some of the top matchups in the Miami Valley. A lot of Centerville games, of course, Springfield and Wayne. We have Trotwood in the mix as well. We cannot wait to be bringing you some of the biggest high school football matchups in the Miami Valley each and every week. It's the ESPN Dayton Glacier Softwater High School Football Game of the Week. Week 1's matchup one more time. The Fairfield Indians on the road at the Centerville Elks this Friday night, 7 o'clock, right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Week 1, man. Thoughts out with Springboro and Lebanon as well. Again, due to COVID-19 contact tracing, Lebanon had to cancel their game with Springboro for this coming up week 1 matchup on Friday night. Springboro, according to their Twitter account, tweeted out earlier that, they released their statement saying that they'll have more info as the week goes on, that they are still looking for a week 1 opponent on Friday night. Clinton Massey is a potential opportunity there. According to Twitter, of course, they're going back and forth with individuals. Clinton Massey, they have reached out to and been in contact with. I have not had an official word come to me yet, but I'm hoping Springboro finds a way to get a game come this Friday night. It's unfortunate that teams are still missing games due to COVID, but that's the reality of the times that we live in. And COVID doesn't always have to turn into some kind of political war with using the vaccine and using the masks and everything along those lines. Can we just all agree, regardless of your opinion on the masks, vaccines, the virus as a whole, that it is unfortunate that this is another season for these high school athletes who are being forced to deal with these repercussions of how the virus is being handled, right? And again, that sounds like I'm taking a side one way or another. I'm not. I mean, it was unfortunate last year, as awesome as it was to be able to bring high school football, not just to the airwaves, but just to be able to have high school athletics in general. It was special, but it also, you have to ask yourself, would it have been less painful for some of the student athletes last year to just not have had a season at all versus having a full regular season, padding up, ready to jump on the bus to head to a playoff game and then having their season come to an end? Springfield and some other really good teams had their tournament runs just halted because of COVID. And it's no one's fault. No one could have done anything differently. I respect the fact that the OHSA even opened the door for there to be a season to begin with. But you do have to ask, did the pain that some of these student athletes faced by having their season ripped out from underneath them, after thinking they're going to have a game this week, was that worse than just saying, hey, guys, due to COVID, we're not having a season this year? And this was last year's approach. I just think that these types of scenarios, I mean, think of how hard all these kids are working in practice, the 2-a-days. Think of this heat that we've had as of late. It's been a cooler couple days, but I went to a Reds game last Sunday, and I had the nerve to complain about sitting in the sun for a couple hours. I'm like, my God, these kids are out there busting their tails in this heat because they know they got to get through the dog days of 2-a-days. They got to get through the tough, couple weeks of camp without any games, and you have scrimmages to kind of break it up. But at least you have your eye on the prize being week 1. And now these two teams aren't going to have a week 1 opponent. Maybe Springboro gets lucky and works out a deal to get a Friday night matchup taken care of. But shouts out to Lebanon too, as they deal with that same issue as well. It's going to be a bumpy ride this season again. 10-week regular season, playoffs, expanded playoff field. That wasn't really a COVID deal. I mean, you could say it was because of money, but it's going to be a fun one. I'm excited to be bringing you a game of the week every Friday here on 1410 ESPN Radio, but it's bigger than us bringing you a game, you listening or watching on TV, watching in attendance. These kids, man, they're working their tails off and they're fighting through something that's unheard of right now. So shouts out to the kids and the coaches who continue just to sacrifice so much to be able to hopefully bring us a bumpy ride-free season. But I don't think that's going to be the case. 518-1410, 518-1410. That'll be the number to jump in on the conversation. Jeff McPherson asking where Kev is. Kev will be back on Wednesday, so he will return. I know it's a pain in the ass just dealing with me, but Kev will be back here to keep me in line here in the next couple of days. How about this? How about Shaun Wade, by the way, made his preseason debut for the Baltimore Ravens over the weekend and had an interception. I said when Shaun Wade, who I thought that he definitely underachieved greatly in that last season with Ohio State. I thought that he, when you have quarterbacks of the opposing team, I mean, he's supposed to be this big time NFL prospect. The sad thing about Shaun Wade is he was supposed to be a first round graded talent heading into last season. And him and Justin Fields fought so hard to get a college football season that ultimately those two almost got impacted the most, if that makes sense. Justin Fields' draft stock dropped tremendously because of, just more film on him this past season. Shaun Wade would have been a first-round graded talent heading into this past draft, but he played this past year. He was awful, and it came across, somehow he won a cornerback defensive back awards for the Big Ten. I don't get that. Maybe they were sympathy awards, but he was not good. His dad can get mad. I know a lot of people in his circle have been very outspoken on social media saying, see, everyone's wrong. I'm not willing to say that I was wrong based on an interception in the preseason, but I do know that there's enough talent there to work with. And I thought that out of all the teams he could have ended up with, Baltimore could not have been a better landing spot for him. And it's showing already. Great performances in the preseason. It sounds like he's going to make the roster and going to make an impact on a very good Ravens defense. And he's going to have his work cut out for him. Joe Burrow, hell of a quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger, say what you want. He's aged. He's older. Make your jokes about his weight. Bottom line is the Duke could throw the football. His work's going to be cut out for him. Make your jokes about Baker Mayfield. There's only 2 quarterbacks that had a higher QBR, more passing yards, and more passing touchdowns in the last 8 weeks of last season than Baker Mayfield. That was Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers. Baker Mayfield could throw the football. Shaun Wade, 3 really good quarterbacks that he has to go up against, including his own very good quarterback in practice every day. Shaun Wade's going to have a very good career in Baltimore, but we shall see. But no, I don't feel bad for anything I said about his time at Ohio State during this past season because it was not good. It wasn't good. All right, 518-1410. We were talking about the Cincinnati Reds. Mike Moustakas not in the lineup again tonight. The dude just crushes the ball every time he's in the lineup. And Eugenio Suarez hitting 176. The Reds are 2.5 games out of a playoff spot. Why is he in this lineup still? Why is Mike Moustakas not in the lineup? And don't feed me the advanced analytical excuse of, well, Mike Moustakas doesn't do well against lefties. But I don't care about any of that. The bottom line is you can't justify hitting 176 against righties or lefties as a whole. You can't preach to me the decision-making of David Bell being based on numbers, all while he is playing a guy hitting 176 day in and day out. It's unacceptable. Let's go to Scott. Scott, how are you, sir? Thanks for holding. 518-1410, the number to call in. We got Scott. Scott, welcome.
Great. Hey, how you doing today, Justin?
Good, man. I appreciate you being patient. What do you have for us?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to tell you, you said something earlier last hour about being criticized about your takes on stuff. enjoy it, because when you're getting criticized, that means people are listening to you. And I mean, I'm glad you're here in Dayton. I love you guys' show. I enjoy it. I listen to it every day on my way home from work. And I'm sure there's a lot more people in Dayton that really enjoy you. I love the fact that you bust the Bengals chops when it needs to be busted. You're not a homer that says, I just love everything they're doing. They're just very special. I love that you're not like that.
Well, the other thing, I appreciate that. Real quick, I'm going to patch you through to my boss, so you could talk to him and let.
He knows it. He knows it.
No, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time, but thank you. That does mean a lot. Trust me, I appreciate that. But
now
I have an idea what you're calling about. I know you're a big David Bell fan. Last I heard, you're the president of the I Love David Bell fan club. I know this.
I would roll out the red carpet on the exit for him to leave. Yes, I would. But honestly, he's just carrying on the Reds tradition. Year after year, we have these guys who can hit 20-plus home runs but can't hit themselves out of a paper bag in clutch situations to get us to the playoffs, like Adam Dunn, like Billy Hamilton. I mean, you can go down the list of players that even Reds fans adored. Like, I talk to people, and they love Billy Hamilton. Like, the guy couldn't get on base, and he was our leadoff hitter. And it's not just David Bell. It's coaches before him did the same silly stuff. And there's just no way Suarez deserves to be in any major league lineup. He can't. He's not a clutch. He has more errors than almost every third baseman in the American or the National League, and he's batting one. But you know what?
But that's
he has
his main
20-plus
position.
home runs.
It's what, I was willing to defend him a bit when he was making a lot of errors at shortstop, but I praised Eugenio Suarez coming into the year because that was a leadership decision on his part. He could have argued that I'm one of the top players on this roster. You're not going to ask me to switch positions, the way that Votto declined to change positions years and years ago. And Suarez said, you know what? If it's going to help us win, I will sacrifice my numbers at third base to move to a position I'm not as good at and do what's best for the team. I respected the hell out of what Suarez did years ago. But the problem is now he's making just as many mistakes, not just with the bat in his hand, but he's making just as many mistakes at his original position being third base. It's just not
he's got more errors than almost every other third baseman. And he's just not a mentally tough player. You can see it. He has the worst at bats. And I feel like sometimes he just swings for the fences and gets lucky.
That's what everyone in baseball does today, unfortunately. But no, I see.
Well, and see, we're not a team that steals bases. We're a home run centric. We're like an American League club almost, and we can't have a guy like him and get into the playoffs and win. Even let's just say the blind squirrel that the Reds are right now gets their nut and they make it to the playoffs. They're going to get swept. We got the, like you said earlier, Mr. Double Switch, who can't field the same lineup day in and day out. Is there some secret injury list that Moustakas is on that we don't know there's something wrong with him? We got a total head case for a left-handed reliever. I mean, Garrett is a psycho who can't throw strikes under pressure. And you can just go down the list. There's just enough players on the Reds right now that are going to keep us out of the playoffs.
Yeah, and they have enough players to keep them in the playoff push, but he's not David.
But they got to be on the field.
He's not using the right players, and that's what's so frustrating. You look at Mike Moustakas right now; he's hitting .230 on the season. Now I know that sounds like, oh man, that's not very good, but at the end of the day, it's hard to kind of get in any kind of rhythm when you're used so poorly. Moustakas is an everyday player. He is not a utility player.
Is.
Kyle Farmer should not be playing more than Moustakas. Suarez hitting 176 should not be hitting more than Moustakas.
Oh, and doesn't he have an everyday contract too?
Yeah, so that's what doesn't make any sense.
We're paying him out the yin yang.
So you're playing Farmer more at short. By the way, what's made things interesting is Jonathan India and Kyle Farmer have done a great job of making things difficult for Moustakas because Moustakas should be every day at second base, but India has been fantastic. He's going to most likely win Rookie of the Year and deservedly so. But put Moustakas at third base. Take Suarez out. And
Farmer's earned that shortstop spot for the rest of the year. You got to admit, he's earned it. He was supposed to be our starting second baseman in spring training, and then India showed up.
And that's the thing. Now they also have Barrero that they just brought up today, and I'm like, but why? I'm not saying that they need a shortstop long term, but actually I think Farmer has done an amazing job filling in at shortstop in this last couple of months. Let him be the everyday shortstop if you need to. Put Moustakas at third as the everyday third baseman. You have Jonathan India at second, Joey Votto at first, and then figure it out in the outfield. Nick Senzel, when you bring him back, he could be in the outfield. And Suarez, sorry, you could pinch hit late in games, and even then I'm going to have a problem justifying bringing in a 176 hitter to hit in the clutch late in a ball game. So Suarez is hurting his team, and David Bell's usage of him is hurting. Scott, you have 30 seconds to finish your point.
Show me a team that's won the World Series or that's dominated like the Big Red Machine that didn't have consistently the same lineup day in and day out. You can't. And that's what David Bell does. He puts these players in and he takes them, like Moustakas, let him get into a rhythm. I bet he's better than a 230 hitter if you let him hit every day. And fire David Bell. Have a great day, man.
Hey, I appreciate your kind words and appreciate the call, man. Thank you. 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call in and jump in on the conversation. Reds back in action tonight. They got the Cubs, 7:10 the first pitch, 6:40 the pregame right here on 1410 ESPN Radio. At the end of the day, the Reds are 2.5 games out of a playoff spot. They're 8 games out in the NL Central. And they should not be that many games back in the NL Central. But the reality is as we currently sit here right now, they are chasing the wild card. I saw a stat today that said that the Reds have the second easiest strength of schedule in the final 90 days of the season. The team that has the second toughest strength of schedule to close out the regular season, well, that would be the Padres. And the Reds trail the Padres 2.5 games in the wild card spot. There is a very good chance the Reds make the wild card. In fact, there's almost no excuse not to. To me, I'm at the point now where I'm like, if you don't at least get the wild card, then David Bell failed this team. I don't want to hear that, they overcame so much. No. My thing is this. If you are bad because of injuries, you're bad. But if you are just good enough to miss the playoffs by a hair, that means it came down to coaching and managerial decisions. That means it came down to game results that should have been yours. You can't be, they're so good, they're in the playoff hunt, but then not hold them to playoff expectations. And that's where I'm at. You're either bad because of injuries or you're just not as good because of injuries, but you don't get to be free of all criticism whenever your team's not winning the games that they should. And they're losing games that they shouldn't. I'm interested to see how all this is going to pan out. I'm Justin Kinner. This has been the Justin Kinner Show here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. The show brought to you by Orion Sports Medicine. Our high school football game of the week coming up this Friday. Centerville welcoming in Fairfield. College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers and myself will bring you the Glacier Softwater high school football game of the week each and every Friday. We're excited as we get closer and closer to Friday night's Game 1, Centerville and Fairfield. AP College Football preseason poll came out today. We'll talk more about that throughout the week, as well as get more reports from Ohio State camp. Browns-Bengals NFL camp continues as they prepare for their second preseason matchup of the season. Regular season kicks off 3 weeks from this Sunday. That wraps it up for us. Until tomorrow, it's been the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Orion Sports Medicine. Kev Nash returns later this week. Have a great night, everybody.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, presented by Orion Sports Medicine.
O'Reilly. Syntec is back and better than ever at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec is a premium full synthetic motor oil at an affordable price. Right now, get 5 quarts of Syntec full synthetic and a Wix filter for just $31.99.